Hey warriors, you know that moment when you're watching the day end, sky turning colors, and something inside you just stops? It's not about the view, it's deeper than that. Like your soul is whispering, is this really it? Is this all you're going to accept? Listen to that whisper, because it's telling you something true. Happiness isn't coming to find you. You have to build it. Here's what kills me. I see people everywhere living like passengers, just sitting there, waiting for happiness like it's an Amazon package that got delayed. And when it doesn't show up, they blame everything. Their job, their past, their circumstances. They watch other people's lives thinking everyone else figured out some secret they missed. But here's the real secret. Happiness isn't luck. It's not a blessing some people get and others don't. It's construction. You're the builder. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That's not just a pretty quote. That's the blueprint. Joy doesn't come from everything being easy. It comes from your choices in the middle of hard, from how you see what's happening to you, from having the courage to build differently than everyone around you who's just surviving. Right now, this second, you're standing at a choice point. One direction keeps you exactly where you are. Waiting, hoping, wondering why nothing changes. The other direction? Completely different territory, a life where you own your happiness, where it doesn't depend on whether people like you, whether your circumstances are perfect, whether everything works out exactly as planned. And let me be straight with you. This isn't about pretending. This isn't toxic positivity where you smile through pain and call it growth. This is about becoming someone strong enough to hold both at once. Pain and joy, struggle and contentment, building happiness that doesn't shatter the second something goes wrong. These 10 lessons are your tools. Real, usable ways to construct a life that actually feels good to live. Not surface-level good, deep good, the kind that gets stronger when tested. The kind you don't need to prove to anyone because you feel it every single day. Before we start building, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and be honest with me. I choose to architect my own joy. Share this with someone who needs it. Subscribe because we're not playing games here. We're building a movement of people who refuse to be victims anymore. And stay through all 10 lessons. Don't skip. Each one matters. Your happiness doesn't need a miracle. It needs your decision. And that decision starts right here, right now, with lesson 1. Number 1. Design your joy by mastering your inner weather. Listen, there's an invisible force following you everywhere. It decides if your day feels light or suffocating, if moments energize you or drain you completely. Most people don't even know it exists. I'm talking about your inner weather. There's a line from Rumi that changes everything. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. Your inner weather isn't your circumstances. It's the emotional temperature you carry inside, the mental atmosphere that makes everything feel harder or easier. And right now, you're probably letting every external thing control it. Someone disrespects you. Instant storm clouds. Plans collapse. Thunder rolls in. Good news arrives. Brief sunshine. Then something else happens and the cycle repeats. You're not controlling your climate. You're being controlled by it. This is where happiness dies. When your inner weather depends on outer conditions, you're building on sand. One bad moment and everything crumbles. Here's the shift. You can't control what happens outside, but you absolutely control what happens inside. I'm not talking about faking positivity, forcing smiles through pain. That's denial, and it destroys you slowly. Real mastery means feeling everything without letting everything destroy you. Think about the ocean floor. Waves crash above, storms rage on the surface. but deep down, completely still. That's what we're building, not immunity to pain, a foundation that holds when everything crashes. Here's how you practice this today. When something triggers you, pause for 3 seconds. Notice where you feel it physically. Tight chest, clenched jaw, knotted stomach. Just observe without judgment. Then ask, what weather am I creating right now? You're waiting in line. Someone's taking forever, complaining about prices, holding everyone up. Frustration builds. In that pause, you see 2 paths. Feed the frustration until it ruins your next hour, or acknowledge it's there, breathe, and let it pass. Same moment, different weather. Your choice. This takes practice. You've run on autopilot for years. But every time you pause, every time you choose instead of react, you get stronger. Here's what changes. Criticism stings, but doesn't destroy you. Disappointment hurts, but doesn't spiral into despair. Joy stops feeling fragile because it's not depending on perfection. Your happiness becomes weather-resistant, not because storms stop, because you've built real shelter. Tonight, check your inner weather. What climate did you carry today? Just notice. Tomorrow, before anything demands your attention, set your intention. Today, I choose calm strength, whatever resonates. Then return to it all day. When pressure comes, remember, you decide what atmosphere you live in. This is designing joy, not controlling everything outside, mastering what happens inside, one choice at a time. Take a deep breath and speak this into your life. Then drop this affirmation in the comments so you're not just saying it, you're claiming it. My inner climate is mine to tend. Number 2, find joy by reducing unnecessary desires. You're carrying weight you don't even notice anymore. It's been there so long it feels normal, like part of your skin, but it's not. It's all the stuff you were taught to want, goals that got planted in you, a version of happiness that was never actually yours. Lao Tzu said it perfectly. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Look at what you're chasing right now. Really look. How much of it did you actually choose? How much showed up because someone else said you should want it? How much are you pursuing just because you've been pursuing it so long that quitting feels like giving up? Most people are running races they never signed up for, exhausted, burnt out. And when they finally cross the finish line, it feels empty. Why? Because they were running towards someone else's dream while their own soul was screaming a different direction. Here's the truth. Joy doesn't grow with accumulation. It grows with release. Think about trees in fall. They don't panic when leaves drop. They don't cling desperately trying to keep every single one. They let go, release what's no longer serving them, and in that release, they save energy for what actually matters. Roots, core, real growth. You need to become like that. Let go of desires draining you. Release wants that were never authentically yours. Make space for the few things that genuinely light your soul on fire. This isn't about killing ambition. It's about getting brutally honest about what you're ambitious for. Are you chasing money for real freedom, or because society programmed you to measure worth in bank accounts? Are you hunting status because it fulfills you, or because being invisible terrifies you? Are you seeking approval because connection matters, or because you forgot how to validate yourself? Strip everything non-essential, everything that's someone else's definition of success, everything you're chasing from fear instead of genuine desire. What's left? That's your real blueprint. Try this tonight. Write 10 things you're currently wanting. Next to each one, ask why. Not the surface answer, the real one underneath. I want a promotion. Why? To feel valuable. Why? So others see I matter. Why do you need others to see it? Keep going until you hit bottom. Usually you'll realize what you actually want doesn't require what you thought you needed. You don't need the promotion. You need to value yourself. And that doesn't come from a title. It comes from living aligned with who you actually are. When you cut unnecessary desires, something shifts. Your attention stops scattering across 1,000 wants. It focuses, intensifies on what genuinely matters. Suddenly you have energy you forgot existed. You stop comparing because you're not playing everyone else's game anymore. You stop feeling deprived because you're not measuring yourself against manufactured standards. You stop postponing happiness because you're not conditioning it on getting specific things. This week, try desire fasting. Pick one day. Want nothing beyond what you already have. Don't browse. Don't scroll enviously. Don't fantasize about different circumstances. Just be present with what is. It'll feel weird. We're addicted to wanting, trained to always need more, better, different. But push through. On the other side is something profound. You already have so much. Not everything, not perfection, but enough. Way more than enough. When enough becomes your baseline instead of your disappointment, joy floods in. You stop postponing contentment. You experience it now with what's already in your hands. Real wealth isn't what you own. It's how little you need to feel complete. The person requiring the least from outside to feel peace inside. That's the richest person alive. Reduce your desires not because wanting is bad, because most of what you want is crushing you, creating constant lack, not enoughness, waiting for life to start once you finally have it all. Life isn't waiting. It's happening now. And happiness is here, but only if you're not too busy wanting something else to see it. Number 3, find happiness through inner strength, not outer control. You're bleeding energy trying to control everything, making people act right, guaranteeing outcomes, preventing disasters, forcing life to follow your plan. Every ounce you pour into controlling the uncontrollable is stolen from building something that actually matters. Buddha taught this thousands of years ago. You only lose what you cling to. Here's what hurts to hear. You control almost nothing, not people's choices, not whether opportunities arrive, not if your plans work, not who stays or leaves, not if loss comes knocking. You control shockingly little of what happens. But you control everything about who you become in response. That's where your real power lives, not manipulating circumstances, strengthening character, not forcing outcomes, building an inner foundation so solid that no external earthquake can topple you. Most people have this completely backwards. They spend 98% of their energy controlling the 2% that's actually controllable, while ignoring the 2% that would transform their lives. Their responses, their perspectives, their resilience, their growth. Picture someone facing betrayal. Person 1 obsesses over the betrayer, what they did, why they did it, how to make them hurt, how to force an apology. They're drowning, pouring energy into things they can't control. Person 2 feels the same pain, but redirects their energy inward. I can't control what they did, but I control how I heal, whether I become bitter or stronger, what I learn, who I become through this fire. Same betrayal, totally different outcome. One tries controlling externals, the other builds internals. Your happiness will never be secure if it depends on controlling outside things. People disappoint, plans crumble, loss arrives, change is guaranteed. But who you are, the strength you build, the character you forge, nobody touches that unless you let them. Practice this now. When anxiety rises, trace it back. What are you trying to control? Write it down. Then ask honestly, is this actually in my power? If no, you have 2 choices. Keep suffering by fighting reality, or accept reality and redirect your power toward what you can influence: your effort, your attitude, your next move, your growth. If yes, act immediately. Don't worry, act. Then release attachment to the outcome. This distinction is freedom. When you stop gripping what was never yours, your hands are finally free to build something real, your inner fortress, your unshakable center, strength that doesn't need perfect conditions. Here's what shifts. Criticism comes. Instead of collapsing or defending desperately, you examine it calmly. Is there truth here? No? Released? Yes? Integrated, and I grow. Rejection arrives. Instead of spiraling into unworthiness, you see it as information. Not aligned, that's fine. I keep moving toward what is. Failure happens. Instead of evidence you're broken, you see data. That didn't work. What adjusts? How do I strengthen my approach? You become unshakable, not because nothing shakes you, because your foundation is built on things that can't be taken: your integrity, your effort, your character, your choice about who you're becoming. The world does what it does. People are who they are. Circumstances unfold beyond you. Let them. Stop fighting. Stop forcing. Stop exhausting yourself controlling the uncontrollable. Take all that energy and invest where it pays real dividends: in you, your resilience, your strength, becoming so solid that external chaos can't crack your core. That's where happiness lives, not in perfectly controlled life, in unshakably strong self. Build that. Invest there. Everything else is weather passing through. Number 4. Honor the present moment as your true home. You're not actually living in your life right now, are you? You're somewhere else, replaying yesterday's argument in your mind, rehearsing what you'll say next week, regretting decisions from 3 years ago, worrying about bills that aren't due yet. Your body is here, but your consciousness is scattered across time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This might be the most stolen aspect of your happiness. The present moment, the only place where life actually happens, the only time you can actually experience joy. And you're missing it because you've been trained to exist anywhere but here. Think about the last meal you ate. Do you remember tasting it? Or were you mentally elsewhere, just mechanically consuming food while your mind worried about tomorrow's responsibilities? Did you notice the warmth, the flavors, the nourishment entering your body? Or did the entire experience pass by unnoticed? That's not living. That's being absent from your own existence. Every moment you spend lost in past regret or future anxiety is a moment you're homeless, because the present moment is your only true home. It's the only place you can actually rest, the only place where peace is available, the only place where joy can find you. But we've been conditioned to abandon it constantly. Productivity culture screams that now isn't enough. You should be planning, hustling toward tomorrow. Technology trains you to capture moments instead of inhabiting them. Old wounds keep dragging you backward. Future fears keep shoving you forward. And meanwhile, your actual life is happening right now, unseen, unfelt, unlived. Joy lives in the present tense, always. It's never in the past, which only holds fading memories. It's never in the future, which only holds imagination and worry. It's here, now, in this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of being alive. When you learn to come home to the present, everything transforms. Colors become more vivid, simple pleasures become profound, because you're actually here to experience them instead of being mentally scattered across yesterday and tomorrow. Here's how you start reclaiming your presence. Throughout your day, pause deliberately. Take 3 conscious breaths. Notice 5 things you can sense right now: the temperature against your skin, the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breathing, the sensation of simply existing. You're not doing this to accomplish anything, you're doing it to arrive, to come back to the only moment where you actually exist. Practice single-tasking like it's sacred. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you're with someone, be fully there with them, not partially present while your mind runs elsewhere. Fully there. You'll be shocked by how unusual this feels, how rare full presence has become. Multitasking has been so normalized that giving complete attention to one thing feels almost revolutionary. But here's what happens when you practice this consistently. Anxiety decreases dramatically, because anxiety lives in the future, in catastrophizing about events that haven't happened. When you're genuinely present, there's usually nothing actually wrong right now. Right now you're breathing. Right now you're okay. Right now, this moment is manageable. Regret loosens its grip, because regret lives in the past, in replaying unchangeable events. When you're genuinely present, the past becomes information instead of identity. Something that occurred, not something that defines who you are. Joy becomes accessible, because joy doesn't require perfect circumstances. It requires presence. A sunrise is only beautiful if you're actually witnessing it. Food is only satisfying if you're actually tasting it. Music is only moving if you're actually hearing it. Life is only lived if you're actually in it. The present moment isn't always pleasant. Sometimes it holds pain, discomfort, difficulty. But even then, presence is your power. Because when you're present with pain, you can actually process it. When you're avoiding it, running from it mentally, it follows you everywhere like a shadow. When you turn toward it with presence, it can transform. Tonight, create a presence ritual. 5 minutes before sleep, sit quietly. Don't force meditation if that doesn't resonate. Just sit. Notice what it feels like to be alive in this specific moment. The weight of your body, the rhythm of breath, the temperature of air, the simple fact of existence. You're not trying to achieve anything, you're just practicing being here, in your life, in this moment, in your one true home. Tomorrow, carry that practice into ordinary moments. Washing your hands, feel the water temperature. Walking upstairs, feel each step. Drinking something, taste it fully. These aren't wasted moments. These are your life, and your life deserves to be lived, not just endured. The ancient masters knew this deeply. Happiness isn't waiting for you in some imagined future when everything aligns perfectly. It's available right now, in this breath, if you're present enough to receive it. Stop abandoning the present for a future that only exists in your mind, or a past that only exists in memory. Come home to now. Come home to the only moment where joy can actually meet you. Number 5. Cultivate a quiet courage within your heart. There's a kind of courage that nobody applauds. It doesn't look heroic from the outside. It doesn't make headlines or earn recognition. But it's the courage that actually builds a joyful life. The courage to keep going when nobody's watching. The courage to stay true when compromise would be easier. The courage to remain open when closing off would feel safer. Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Most people think courage is loud, dramatic gestures, big moments, standing on stages, making bold declarations. But real courage, the kind that designs lasting happiness, is quiet. It happens in private moments when you choose who you want to be over who your pain is trying to make you. It's the courage to forgive when resentment feels justified. The courage to try again after devastating failure. The courage to be vulnerable when walls feel more protective. The courage to hope when cynicism feels more intelligent. The courage to love when loss has taught you how much love can cost. This quiet courage isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about feeling the fear and choosing your values anyway. It's about your hands shaking while you do the thing that terrifies you. It's about your voice trembling while you speak your truth. It's about moving forward while everything in you screams to retreat. You need this courage to build happiness, because happiness requires risk. Risk of disappointment, risk of being hurt again, risk of hoping and being wrong, risk of trying and failing, risk of opening your heart in a world that sometimes breaks hearts. Without courage, you'll choose safety over growth, comfort over truth, numbness over feeling, and those choices create a small, protected life that never quite feels alive. Think about where you're playing it safe right now. Where are you choosing the known misery over the unknown possibility? Where are you letting fear make your decisions? Where are you protecting yourself so carefully that you're also protecting yourself from joy? Start cultivating your quiet courage today. Not through grand gestures, but through small acts of bravery. Face the situation you've been avoiding. Try the thing you've been postponing. Admit the feeling you've been hiding. Take the step you've been delaying. Each small act of courage strengthens your capacity for bigger ones. It's like building muscle. You don't start by lifting the heaviest weight. You start with what you can handle, then gradually increase. Your courage grows the same way. Here's a practice that builds courage daily. Each morning, identify one thing that creates that uncomfortable flutter of fear. Not something that terrifies you into paralysis, but something that makes you nervous. Maybe it's starting that creative project, addressing that unresolved issue, making that difficult decision. Whatever it is, do it before noon. Don't wait until you feel ready. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action despite fear. You do the thing while afraid, and then you discover you're stronger than you believed. That discovery builds confidence, and confidence makes the next courageous act slightly easier. Watch what happens when you live with quiet courage. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing guarantees. You stop requiring perfect conditions. You start trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. And that trust is freedom. Relationships deepen because you're brave enough to be authentic. Growth accelerates because you're willing to be uncomfortable. Joy expands because you're not hiding from life, you're engaging with it fully. The quiet courage to keep choosing love when you've been hurt. The quiet courage to keep showing up when results aren't immediate. The quiet courage to remain yourself when conformity would be easier. The quiet courage to believe in possibilities when evidence suggests otherwise. This isn't naivety. This isn't blind optimism. This is the mature courage of someone who's been broken and chosen to heal anyway, who's been disappointed and chosen to hope anyway, who's been betrayed and chosen to trust wisely anyway. Your happiness requires this courage, because happiness isn't a safe, comfortable state you can maintain by avoiding all risk. It's an alive, dynamic experience that requires you to keep opening, keep trying, keep believing, keep growing. Cultivate your quiet courage like tending a flame in the wind. Protect it from the voices that tell you to give up. Feed it with small, brave acts. Let it warm you when everything feels cold. And watch it slowly, steadily illuminate a path toward the life you actually want to live. Comment this affirmation to anchor it into your life. Sometimes the simple act of typing the words is the first step toward the transformation you've been praying for. Quiet courage lives in my heart. Number 6. Practice emotional temperance to protect your peace. There's a wildness inside you, emotions that surge without warning, feelings that flood your system and hijack your clarity, reactions that explode before you even realize they're coming. And while feeling deeply is part of being human, letting every emotion run wild through your life is destroying your peace. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Emotional temperance isn't about suppression. It's not about becoming cold or detached or robotic. It's about developing the capacity to feel everything without letting everything control you. It's about holding your emotions with awareness instead of being held hostage by them. Think about fire. Contained in a fireplace, it warms your home. Uncontained, it burns everything down. Your emotions work exactly the same way. Feel them, honor them, but contain them wisely. Don't let one moment of anger incinerate relationships you've built over years. Don't let one wave of sadness convince you that all hope is gone. Don't let one spike of fear paralyze you from moving forward. Most people swing between two extremes. Either they're completely reactive, erupting at every trigger, drowning in every feeling, or they're completely shut down, numb, disconnected, pretending nothing affects them. Both extremes steal your peace. Emotional temperance is the middle path, the place where you can feel intensely without acting impulsively, where you can acknowledge pain without letting it dictate your decisions, where you can experience joy without clinging to it desperately. Here's what this looks like in practice. Something happens that triggers rage. In the old pattern, you'd explode immediately. Words you can't take back, actions you'll regret, damage that takes months to repair. In the new pattern, you feel the rage rising. You recognize it. This is fury. It's here. It's valid. Then you pause. You breathe. You let the intensity peak and begin to subside before you respond. You're not denying the anger. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. You're just refusing to let it make choices for you while it's at its peak. You're waiting for the temperature to drop enough that you can respond with intention instead of just reacting with explosion. This takes practice. Your emotions have been running the show for a long time. They're used to immediate expression without any filter. Teaching them temperance feels unnatural at first. Start with this awareness exercise. When a strong emotion arrives, rate its intensity on a scale of 1 to 10. Just that simple act of assessment creates distance. You're observing the emotion instead of being completely consumed by it. This anxiety is at a 7 right now. That's different from "I am anxiety." Then track it. Watch the intensity rise and fall. Emotions are waves. They crest, they crash, they recede. When you're inside the wave, it feels permanent. When you watch the wave, you realize it's temporary. This too will pass. It always does. Here's what changes with emotional temperance. You stop making decisions you regret because you stopped making them at emotional peaks. You stop saying things that damage relationships because you stopped speaking from pure reactivity. You stop abandoning your goals because you stopped letting temporary discouragement convince you it's permanent impossibility. Your peace becomes protected, not because nothing disturbs it, but because you've learned not to disturb it further by reacting wildly to every disturbance. Practice the pause. Between stimulus and response, insert space. Something triggers you. Before you react, count to 10. Breathe deeply 5 times. Walk around the block. Journal for 3 minutes. Do whatever creates enough space for the emotional intensity to drop from a 10 to a 6. You'll still respond. You'll still address what needs addressing, but you'll do it from a place of clarity instead of chaos, from intention instead of impulse, from strength instead of being overwhelmed. This doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful, because true power isn't explosive reactivity. True power is the ability to feel everything and still choose your response. To be moved by emotion without being controlled by it. To honor your feelings without being imprisoned by them. Tonight, reflect on recent moments when emotions hijacked you. What would have changed if you'd practiced temperance? What would you have done differently? Not to shame yourself, but to learn, to prepare for the next time, because there will be a next time. Triggers will come, strong emotions will surge, that's guaranteed. But whether they control you or you contain them wisely, that's entirely up to you. Protect your peace by practicing emotional temperance. Feel deeply, but respond wisely. Honor your emotions, but don't let them make all your decisions. Be human in your feeling, but be deliberate in your responding. Number 7. Cultivate a stoic gratitude that deepens your joy. You're surrounded by miracles you've stopped noticing, blessings you've stopped appreciating, gifts you've started taking for granted, and that blindness to what you have is quietly stealing your happiness while you're busy noticing what you lack. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude isn't just saying thank you. It's not a polite gesture or a social nicety. It's a fundamental reorientation of how you see your life. It's training your attention to notice abundance instead of absence, presence instead of lack, what's working instead of only what's broken. Most people's default setting is deficit-focused. They wake up and immediately catalog what's wrong, what's missing, what's not good enough, what needs fixing, what's disappointing. Their attention is a spotlight that only illuminates problems, and whatever you focus on expands. Focus on lack, you'll find more lack. Focus on problems, you'll discover more problems. Focus on what's not working, and you'll miss everything that is. Stoic gratitude flips this completely. It's not naive positivity that pretends difficulties don't exist. It's a deliberate practice of noticing what's present before you fixate on what's absent. It's acknowledging the good that exists even while you work to improve what isn't good yet. Here's the practice that transforms everything. Tonight, before sleep, identify 3 specific things from today that you're grateful for. But not generic things, not "I'm grateful for my family" or "I'm grateful for my health." Those are too broad, too automatic. They don't create real feeling. Get specific. I'm grateful for the way sunlight hit the kitchen counter this morning and made everything look golden. I'm grateful that when I dropped my keys, a stranger picked them up and handed them back with a smile. I'm grateful for the moment of quiet I had with my morning coffee before the day's chaos began. Specific gratitude creates feeling. Generic gratitude stays in your head. You want this in your heart, in your body, changing how you experience your life. Do this every night for 30 days. Watch what happens. Your brain starts looking for things to be grateful for during the day because it knows you'll need 3 specific things tonight. You start noticing small beauties you were walking past, small kindnesses you were overlooking, small moments of grace you were missing entirely. Your attention retrains itself. Instead of scanning for threats and problems, it starts scanning for gifts and grace. And suddenly your life looks completely different. Not because your circumstances changed, but because your perception did. Here's the deeper layer. Practice gratitude not just for good things, but for difficult things that taught you something. I'm grateful for that failure because it showed me what I needed to strengthen. I'm grateful for that loss because it revealed who truly shows up for me. I'm grateful for that struggle because it proved I'm stronger than I believed. This isn't toxic positivity, this is mature wisdom. Acknowledging that growth often comes through difficulty, that some of your greatest gifts arrived wrapped in painful packages, that the hard seasons shaped you in ways the easy ones never could. When you can find gratitude even in difficulty, you become unbreakable, because you've learned to extract value from everything, to find meaning in all of it, to let nothing be wasted. Your joy deepens because it's no longer dependent on everything being perfect. You can be grateful for what's good while working on what isn't. You can appreciate what you have while building toward what you want. You can hold both at once. Start each morning with this question: what do I get to experience today? Not what do I have to do? but what do I get to do? That subtle shift changes everything, from obligation to privilege, from burden to opportunity, from resentment to appreciation. You get to breathe, you get to witness another day, you get to try again, you get to love, you get to grow, you get to be alive during this strange, beautiful, difficult, miraculous moment in history. Cultivate this gratitude like tending a garden, daily, deliberately. Watch it grow. Watch it transform your entire relationship with your life. Watch it create joy that doesn't require perfect conditions, just present awareness. Number 8. Accept impermanence to free your heart. Everything you love will change. Everyone you cherish will eventually leave, one way or another. Every moment you're experiencing right now is already dissolving into memory. And fighting this truth is the source of most of your suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This isn't meant to depress you. It's meant to wake you up. Because when you truly accept that nothing lasts forever, two things happen simultaneously. You stop clinging so desperately, and you start treasuring more deeply. Most people live in denial of impermanence. They pretend relationships will last forever without effort. They assume health is permanent. They believe opportunities will always be available. They treat time like an infinite resource. And then they're devastated when reality reveals the truth. Everything ends, everything changes, everything passes. But here's what's beautiful about accepting this. When you know something is temporary, you stop taking it for granted. When you know someone won't be here forever, you stop wasting moments on petty arguments. When you know this phase of life will pass, you stop rushing through it, waiting for the next one. Impermanence isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's whispering, pay attention, be here, love fully, appreciate now. Because now is all you're guaranteed. Think about autumn leaves. They're most beautiful right before they fall. Why? Because their impermanence is visible. You can see they won't last. So, you stop and notice them in a way you never notice the leaves in summer when you assume they'll always be there. Your life works the same way. When you accept that this moment is fleeting, this day is temporary, this season will shift, you start showing up differently. With more presence, more intention, more appreciation, more love. Here's the practice that changes everything. Each morning, acknowledge 3 temporary things you're grateful for today. I'm grateful I get to see this person today, knowing our time together is limited. I'm grateful for my body's current abilities, knowing they'll change. I'm grateful for this opportunity, knowing it won't be available forever. This isn't morbid, it's honest. And that honesty makes everything more precious. When you accept impermanence, you stop trying to freeze moments. You let them be what they are, knowing they'll transform. You enjoy the season you're in instead of mourning the one that passed or rushing toward the one ahead. Your child is young. This age won't last. Instead of wishing for them to grow up faster or stay small forever, you show up fully for exactly who they are right now. Your parent is aging. Their vitality is fading. Instead of pretending nothing's changing, you treasure the time remaining. Your body is strong today. It won't always be. Instead of taking it for granted, you move it, use it, appreciate it. This acceptance doesn't create sadness. It creates urgency. Not anxious urgency, but purposeful urgency. The kind that says, this matters. This moment matters. This person matters. I won't waste this by being distracted or distant or waiting for a better time. Here's what blocks most people from accepting impermanence. Fear. Fear that if they acknowledge things will end, they'll fall apart. Fear that if they admit people will leave, they'll stop being able to love. Fear that if they face mortality, life will feel meaningless. But the opposite is true. When you accept impermanence, life becomes more meaningful, not less. Relationships become more precious, not less. Moments become more vibrant, not less. because you're no longer diluting them with denial. You're meeting them with full awareness. Practice this meditation. Sit quietly and imagine losing something you love. Not to torture yourself, but to prepare yourself. To remind yourself of its value. To motivate yourself to appreciate it now while you have it. Then open your eyes and go appreciate it. Not someday. Today. The ancient masters practiced this regularly. They contemplated loss not from pessimism, but from wisdom. They knew that the person who accepts impermanence lives more fully than the person who pretends everything will last forever. Your heart fears impermanence because it thinks acceptance means not caring, but acceptance actually frees you to care more deeply, because you're not wasting energy fighting reality. You're using that energy to love fully, knowing love is always temporary, and that's exactly what makes it sacred. Nothing gold can stay, no season lasts forever, no moment repeats. Accept this. Let it break your heart open. Let that broken open heart love more fiercely, appreciate more deeply, show up more fully. When you stop fighting impermanence, you stop suffering from it. You start dancing with it instead, letting each moment arrive and depart, holding everything loosely enough that you can enjoy it fully, loving knowing you'll lose, and loving anyway because that's what makes you beautifully, courageously human. Number 9. Build a character you are proud to live with. You're going to spend every single moment of your life with yourself. Every success, every failure, every high, every low, you'll be there. So here's the question that matters more than any other. Are you someone you actually respect? Seneca said, "What progress have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." Most people are so focused on external achievement that they neglect internal development. They build impressive resumes while their character deteriorates. They chase success while becoming people they wouldn't want to know. They win publicly while losing privately. And then they wonder why accomplishment feels so empty. Because you can't escape yourself. You can distract yourself temporarily. You can numb yourself. You can pretend. But at the end of every day, when everything gets quiet, you're alone with who you actually are. And if you don't like that person, no amount of external success will fill that void. Building character isn't about perfection. It's about direction. It's about waking up each day and asking, who do I want to be today? What values do I want to embody? What kind of person do I want to become through my choices? Here's what most people miss. Your character isn't built in grand moments. It's built in small, private choices when nobody's watching. When you choose honesty, even though lying would be easier. When you choose kindness, even though cruelty would feel justified. When you choose integrity, even though compromise would be more profitable. Those small choices compound. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you strengthen your character. Every time you betray them, you weaken it. And over time, those choices create either someone you're proud to be or someone you're ashamed to face. Start here. Define your core values. Not what sounds good, not what you think you should value. What actually matters to you when everything else is stripped away. Maybe it's integrity, maybe it's courage, maybe it's compassion, maybe it's growth. Whatever it is, name it clearly. Then audit your recent actions against those values. Where are you living in alignment? Where are you betraying yourself? Where is there a gap between who you say you want to be and who you're actually being? Those gaps are where your work lives. Those are the places where you need to recommit, not through shame, but through honest acknowledgement and course correction. Here's a daily practice that builds unshakable character. Before sleep, review your day. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do today that I'm proud of? Where did I betray my values? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about honest assessment, celebrating growth, acknowledging missteps, committing to improvement. Every single day, you're either building character or eroding it. There's no neutral ground. Watch what happens when you prioritize character development. External validation matters less because you have internal approval. Criticism stings less because you know who you are. Temptation loses power because you've built habits of integrity. Fear has less control because you trust yourself to handle what comes. You become your own steady foundation, the person you can rely on, the one who shows up, the one who keeps promises, especially to yourself, the one who does what's right even when it's hard. This is where lasting joy lives. Not in accomplishment that impresses others, but in becoming someone you genuinely respect. Not in external markers of success, but in internal markers of growth. Not in what you have, but in who you are. Build your character like you're constructing a monument that will stand for generations, with patience, with care, with attention to every detail, because your character is the only thing you'll carry through every moment of your existence. Let your obituary be less about what you achieved and more about who you became. Let your legacy be the way you treated people when it didn't benefit you, the integrity you maintained when nobody was watching, the kindness you chose when bitterness would have been easier, the courage you embodied when fear was screaming. That's a life worth living. That's a person worth being. That's happiness that doesn't depend on circumstances because it flows from character. Number 10. Live with purpose, not passivity. You weren't born to just exist, to merely survive, to float through life reacting to whatever happens next. You were born to build something, to contribute something, to mean something. And until you claim a purpose and live for it, you'll feel that hollow ache that no distraction can fill. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What am I doing with my soul?" Ask yourself this question constantly. Most people are living on autopilot. They wake up, follow routines, respond to demands, then collapse into bed. Day after day, year after year. And somewhere deep inside, they feel it. The quiet desperation, the sense that life is passing by while they're just going through motions. That's what happens when you live reactively instead of purposefully. When you let life happen to you instead of happening to life. When you're constantly responding to other people's agendas instead of pursuing your own. Purpose isn't some grand mystical calling you need to discover through meditation on a mountaintop. It's simpler than that. It's knowing what matters to you and organizing your life around it. It's having a reason to get up that goes beyond just getting through another day. Your purpose doesn't have to change the world. It just has to change you. Maybe it's raising children with intention. Maybe it's mastering a craft. Maybe it's serving your community. Maybe it's creating beauty. Maybe it's healing others. Maybe it's building something lasting. Whatever it is, it needs to be yours, not borrowed from someone else's expectations, not inherited from family pressure, not adopted from what looks impressive. Yours, something that lights you up from the inside, something that makes effort feel meaningful instead of draining. Here's how you find it. Ask yourself, if I knew I had 10 years left to live, how would I spend them? What would suddenly matter more? What would instantly matter less? Your answers reveal your actual priorities underneath all the noise. Then ask, what breaks my heart about the world? What makes me angry about injustice? What makes me come alive when I engage with it? Your purpose often lives at the intersection of what you care about and what you're uniquely equipped to address. Once you identify your purpose, everything changes. Decisions become clearer because you have a filter. Does this align with my purpose or distract from it? Effort becomes sustainable because you're not just grinding, you're building towards something meaningful. Setbacks become bearable because you remember why you're persisting. Living with purpose doesn't mean every moment is meaningful. You'll still have mundane tasks, boring obligations, necessary drudgery. But when those things connect to a larger purpose, they feel different. You're not just washing dishes, you're maintaining a home where your family thrives. You're not just working a job, you're funding the life you're intentionally building. Start living purposefully today. Write down your purpose in one sentence. Put it somewhere visible. Let it guide your choices. When opportunities arise, measure them against it. When challenges come, let your purpose fuel your resilience. Here's what changes. You stop drifting. You stop being a passive participant in your own life. You start directing your energy intentionally. You start saying no to things that don't serve your purpose, and yes to things that do, even when they're difficult. You become someone who's going somewhere, not aimlessly wandering, not waiting for life to happen, actively building, deliberately creating, purposefully living. And here's the beautiful part. When you live with purpose, you inspire others to find theirs. Your intentionality gives others permission to stop sleepwalking. Your commitment reminds others that life can be more than just surviving until the weekend. Purpose creates joy that achievement never could. Because achievement is external and temporary, purpose is internal and constant. It travels with you through every season. It sustains you through every difficulty. It gives meaning to every moment, even the hard ones. Stop being passive. Stop letting life drag you along. Stand up. Choose your direction. Claim your purpose. Then walk toward it with everything you have. That's where happiness lives. Not in comfort, not in ease. In meaningful struggle towards something that matters to you. You made it through all 10 lessons. But here's the truth. Information without application is just entertainment. These lessons only matter if you actually use them. You now have the blueprint for designing genuine happiness, not the kind that depends on perfect circumstances, the kind that holds through storms, the kind that deepens through difficulty, the kind that comes from who you are, not what you have. You know how to master your inner weather instead of being controlled by external conditions. You know how to reduce unnecessary desires that drain your energy. You know how to build inner strength instead of chasing outer control. You know how to honor the present moment instead of living in past regret or future anxiety. You know how to cultivate quiet courage that keeps you moving forward. You know how to practice emotional temperance that protects your peace. You know how to develop gratitude that transforms your perception. You know how to accept impermanence that makes everything more precious. You know how to build character you're proud to live with. You know how to live with purpose instead of passivity. You have everything you need. The only question remaining is, will you use it? Happiness is waiting for you, not out there in perfect circumstances. Right here in the choices you make starting today, in the perspective you choose, in the person you decide to become. This is your life, your one precious life. Don't waste it waiting for conditions to be perfect. Don't waste it building according to someone else's blueprint. Don't waste it being passive when you were meant to be powerful. Design your happiness. Build your joy. Become someone who thrives regardless of what life throws at you. That's the promise of these lessons if you actually live them. Now take action. Hit that like button so more people find this message. Drop a comment sharing which lesson resonated most deeply. Share this video with someone who needs these tools. Subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of people who refuse to be victims of circumstance. Your happiness journey begins now, not when everything is perfect. Now, build it. One choice at a time, one day at a time, one intentional moment at a time. You've got this. I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. I design my happiness starting now. Hey warriors, Silence scares people more than failure, more than rejection, more than losing everything. The idea of sitting alone with their thoughts sends most people into panic mode. Phone out, TV on, music playing, anything but the quiet. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." The Emperor of Rome, unlimited power, armies at his command. Yet his peace came from within, not from the world around him. Right now, look at anyone waiting in line, sitting at a stoplight, eating alone. Within seconds, the phone appears. The scrolling starts. We've built an entire civilization designed to help us avoid ourselves. Something shifted in our culture. Being alone became a red flag, a sign something's broken. We measure success by how busy our calendars are, how many friends we have, how quickly someone responds to our texts. Connection became currency. Solitude became failure. So we run. We fill every gap with noise. We jump from relationship to relationship. We say yes to plans that drain us. We maintain friendships that feel like obligations, all because the alternative, being alone, feels like dying. But here's the shift nobody talks about. Solitude isn't loneliness. Loneliness is desperate. Solitude is deliberate. One drains you, the other builds you. The Stoics understood this distinction. They didn't hide from the world. They prepared for it, in silence, in stillness, in the brutal honesty that only comes when nobody's watching. They knew something we forgot. Self-mastery happens alone. You can't master your emotions in a crowd, can't find your purpose in noise, can't build real strength while leaning on others. The work that matters, the deep transformation, requires you to face yourself without an escape route. Today we're diving into 10 truths about solitude and self-mastery. Not theories, not philosophy for philosophy's sake. Practical tools that separate people who control their lives from people whose lives control them. Some of these truths will sting. Others will shake something loose inside you. A few might make you angry because they'll expose things you've been avoiding. That's the point. Comfort doesn't create change. Discomfort does. This isn't about becoming antisocial. It's about becoming solid. Building a foundation so strong that storms don't knock you over. Creating a life so full that you invite people in. You don't need them to fill the void. Before we start, hit that like button. Anchor yourself with this truth in the comments. I choose solitude as my strength. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe because we're cutting through the noise here. No fluff, just truth. And don't skip ahead. The person you're meant to become isn't hiding in someone else's approval, isn't waiting for the perfect relationship, isn't dependent on external success. That person lives in the solitude you keep running from. Let's begin. Number 1. Solitude shows you who you really are. Masks everywhere, every single day. You wear a different face at work, another with family, a carefully curated version on social media, one for friends, one for dates, layer after layer until the real you suffocate underneath. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." But what's in your power when you don't even know who you are anymore? Solitude strips it all away. No performance, no audience, no one to impress or hide from, just you and the truth. And sometimes that truth hits like a freight train. Maybe you realize the career you're building doesn't excite you. You chose it because it looked successful, because it made sense on paper, because people were impressed. But alone, when nobody's watching, you feel nothing. Or worse, you feel trapped. Maybe you see how much you've been shrinking yourself, making yourself smaller so others feel comfortable, biting your tongue to avoid conflict, dimming your light because someone said it was too bright. You've been playing small for so long, you forgot what taking up space feels like. Maybe you discover the goals you're chasing aren't even yours. They're your parents' dreams. Society's expectations, Instagram's highlight reel. You've been running toward a finish line you never wanted to cross. This realization breaks people. They scramble back to distraction, turn on the TV, grab the phone, call someone, anything to shut off the truth. But here's what they don't understand. Avoiding yourself doesn't make you disappear. It just makes you a stranger to yourself. Solitude forces the confrontation, puts a mirror in front of you with zero filter, shows you patterns on repeat, wounds left open, strengths buried deep, dreams collecting dust, everything you've been too busy to notice. The discomfort is real, sharp, sometimes brutal. You'll see how often you compromise your truth. How many times you've said yes when your whole body screamed no. How much energy you've spent being who others needed instead of who you are. But this pain isn't punishment. It's the price of freedom. When you truly know yourself, validation from others loses its power. You stop twisting yourself into shapes to fit in. Stop asking, what will they think? Start asking, what do I think? Stop living someone else's definition of success. Start building your own. The Stoics called it living according to your nature, not the version society programmed, not the person your parents wanted, your actual essence. But you can't live authentically when you don't know who that person is, and you can't discover them in the noise. Solitude is the classroom, the mirror, the moment of truth, where you finally meet the person you've been avoiding, where you stop performing and start being. This moment right here, this is where transformation begins. Not tomorrow, not when things get easier, right now, in the uncomfortable space between who you've been pretending to be and who you actually are. The real you is worth meeting, worth knowing, worth becoming. But you have to be brave enough to sit in the silence and let them emerge, to strip away the layers of performance and see what's underneath, to face the truth without flinching. That's where everything begins. That's the foundation. You can't build a meaningful life on a false identity. You can't create genuine connections when you don't know who's connecting. You can't master yourself when you don't know who yourself is. This is where it starts. Number 2, solitude builds strength nobody can take from you. Real strength isn't what you think it is. It's not how much weight you lift, not how tough you look, not how loud you can be. Real strength is what happens when everything falls apart and nobody's there to catch you. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." But most people avoid the friction. They surround themselves with comfort, support, and safety nets. Then wonder why they crumble under pressure. When you're always surrounded by people, you outsource your strength. Someone's always there to pump you up when you're down, to validate you when doubt creeps in, to carry you when things get heavy. Feels good in the moment, makes you weak in the long run. Because what happens at 3 in the morning when panic sets in and nobody's there? When the relationship ends and you're alone with the pain? When you lose your job and the fear is suffocating? When life hits you and there's no backup? You fall apart. Because you never built the foundation. Solitude is where you build that foundation. Alone with your thoughts, your fears, your demons. No rescue coming, no one to call. Just you and the decision to either break or become unbreakable. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you grow stronger. Every time you face a fear alone instead of calling for help, you level up. Every time you make a hard decision without needing approval, you become more solid. Think about a muscle. It doesn't grow when you're resting. It grows when you tear it down, stress it, push it past comfortable. Your mind works the same way. Your spirit works the same way. The Stoics called it building an inner citadel, a fortress inside yourself that nothing external can shake. Not rejection, not failure, not loss, not other people's opinions, nothing. because you've built something so solid within that the chaos outside can't reach you. But you can't build that fortress in a crowd. You build it brick by brick, in quiet moments when you choose growth over comfort, when you sit with anxiety instead of numbing it, when you process pain instead of projecting it, when you do the work nobody sees and nobody applauds. People will call you distant, too independent, cold. Let them. They're terrified of their own solitude. They'll try to make you afraid of yours, but you know better now. Every hour you spend strengthening yourself alone is an investment, the kind that pays dividends when life gets hard. And life will get hard. Not maybe, definitely. When that moment comes, you won't beg someone to save you, won't fall apart because your support system disappeared. You'll stand firm, rooted in the power you built when you were brave enough to be alone. That's the difference between someone who survives and someone who thrives, between someone who needs constant support and someone who can stand on their own, between weakness disguised as connection and genuine strength that comes from within. This strength changes how you move through the world. You stop making decisions from fear. Stop staying in situations because you're afraid to be alone. Stop compromising yourself to keep the peace. You become solid, centered, unshakable, and people notice. Not because you're trying to impress them, because authentic strength is magnetic. It draws respect, commands attention, creates opportunities, not through force, but through presence. But it all starts in the solitude you've been avoiding, in the quiet moments when you choose to face yourself instead of running, when you build instead of borrowing, when you become your own source instead of depending on others. That's real power. That's lasting strength. That's what makes you unshakable. When you're ready to claim this power, write it down. My strength comes from within. Number 3. Solitude clears the noise so you hear your truth. Everyone's got an opinion about your life. Your parents have a plan for you. Your friends have expectations. Society's screaming what success should look like. Social media's showing you what happiness supposedly is. 1,000 voices telling you who to be, what to want, how to live. And somewhere in all that noise, your own voice disappeared. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But how do you find your way of thinking when everyone else's thoughts drown it out? You don't. Not until you step away from the noise. Most people live their entire lives following scripts written by others. They chase careers they don't care about because that's what success is supposed to look like. They stay in relationships that drain them because that's what they're supposed to want. They set goals that don't excite them because that's what everyone else is doing. Then they wake up at 40 wondering why they feel empty, why achievement feels hollow, why they're successful on paper but miserable in reality. It's because they never stopped to ask what they actually wanted. Solitude creates that space. When you remove the constant input, the feeds, the advice, the comparisons, the programming, something happens. Your own voice starts coming through. Quiet at first, easy to miss, but it's there, and that voice knows things. It knows what lights you up, what drains you, what you're meant to build, what you need to walk away from. It knows your gifts, your passions, your real purpose. Not the one that looks good in a LinkedIn headline, the one that makes you feel alive. But that voice can't compete with the noise, won't scream over everyone else. You have to create space for it. This is why people who spend intentional time alone seem to have clarity everyone else lacks. They're not smarter, not lucky. They just listen to themselves instead of the crowd. They've tuned into their own frequency. Think about the last big decision you made. How much of it was actually yours? How much got influenced by what people would think? What looked impressive? what made sense to everyone else. Now imagine making that decision after a week alone. No phones, no opinions, just you and your truth. Different decision, right? Because when you're alone with yourself, you can't lie, can't perform, can't pretend. You face what you actually want, not what you think you should want. And that terrifies most people. But for you, it's freedom. The Stoics practiced this relentlessly. They questioned everything, examined every belief, asked themselves constantly, is this mine or did I inherit it? Does this serve who I want to become or who others want me to be? They knew that most people sleepwalk through life, following paths laid out by others, living dreams that aren't theirs, building lives that look good but feel empty. You don't have to be one of them. Your purpose isn't hiding in someone's Instagram feed, not buried in a self-help book, not waiting for some guru to reveal it. It's already inside you, has been this whole time, waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. Stop asking everyone else what you should do. Stop collecting opinions like their wisdom. Stop looking outside for answers that only exist within. Sit with yourself. Ask the hard questions. Listen to what comes up. Trust that voice. It knows the way. The clarity you're searching for isn't out there. It's in here, in the quiet space between your thoughts, in the silence you've been filling with other people's noise. Your truth is waiting. Get quiet enough to hear it. If this truth resonates with you, make it yours in the comments. I trust my inner voice. Number 4. Solitude shows you the difference between love and need. Let's get uncomfortable for a minute. That person you can't stop texting, that relationship you're clinging to even though it's draining you, that constant need for someone to validate your existence, that's not love, that's fear wearing a mask. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." But you're not free when you need someone else to feel whole. That's not partnership. That's prison. Most people can't tell the difference between connection and codependency. They jump from relationship to relationship, always searching for someone to complete them, always needing constant reassurance, always falling apart when they're alone. They call it love. But love doesn't make you smaller. Neediness does. Hard truth coming. If you can't be happy alone, you can't be happy with someone else either. You'll just make them responsible for your happiness. And when they inevitably can't fill that void, because nobody can, you'll blame them, resent them, suffocate them with your need. Solitude exposes this pattern brutally. It shows you where you end and another person begins, forces you to meet your own emotional needs, to validate yourself, to be your own source of joy and confidence. And when you can do that, when you're genuinely whole on your own, that's when real connection becomes possible. Real connection isn't two broken people desperately clinging to each other. It's two whole people choosing to walk together. No desperation, no manipulation, no "I need you or I'll die" energy. Just two solid individuals sharing strength, not borrowing it. Look at your relationships right now. Honest look. Are you there because you want to be, or because you're terrified of being alone? Are you giving from fullness or taking from emptiness? Are you enhancing each other's lives or just avoiding your own? These questions sting because most of us have been codependent without realizing it. We confused neediness with passion, jealousy with caring, control with love. We built relationships on fear instead of freedom, and those relationships, they crumble. They have to. Fear can't sustain anything real. But when you master solitude, everything shifts. You stop seeking relationships to escape yourself. Start building relationships to share yourself. Stop looking for someone to save you. Start looking for someone to grow with. Stop losing yourself in others. Start bringing your full self to the table. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that attachment to external things, including people, creates suffering. Not because connection is bad, because desperate attachment is. When you need someone, they own you. When you choose someone from wholeness, you're free. So, get comfortable alone. Build a life you love without needing anyone else to make it meaningful. Then, when someone incredible shows up, you invite them into your fullness, not your emptiness. That's the difference between a relationship that drains you and one that elevates you. Between needing someone and choosing them, between fear and love. Think about the healthiest relationship you've ever seen, not the most dramatic, not the most passionate, the healthiest. Chances are both people were solid on their own. They didn't need each other. They chose each other. They enhanced each other's already complete lives instead of filling empty voids. That's what becomes possible when you master solitude. You stop searching for someone to complete you and start looking for someone to complement you. You stop making relationships your source of happiness and start making them an expression of the happiness you've already built. This shift changes everything. The desperation disappears. The neediness fades. The fear of being alone loses its grip. And what emerges is genuine connection, the kind that respects boundaries, that celebrates independence, that enhances both people instead of consuming them. That's what love looks like when it comes from wholeness instead of emptiness, when it comes from strength instead of weakness, when it comes from choice instead of fear. Reflect on this and affirm it below. I am whole, not half. Number 5. Solitude exposes every escape you're using. Sit still for 5 minutes. No phone, no TV, no music, no food, no distractions. Just you and silence. Can't do it, can you? Within seconds, the itch starts. The urge to reach for something, anything. Your hand moves toward the phone before you even realize it. That's not boredom, that's addiction. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." And most of us are everywhere, scrolling through feeds, jumping between apps, bouncing from one distraction to another. We call it staying connected. But really, we're running. Solitude doesn't let you run, strips away every escape route, puts you face to face with everything you've been avoiding, and it exposes every crutch you've been leaning on. The phone you check 100 times a day, the Netflix you binge to numb out, the relationships you maintain just to avoid being alone, the work you hide behind, the substances you use to take the edge off, the shopping, the scrolling, the constant noise. These don't feel like problems when you're moving fast. Everyone does it, right? Normal behavior. But strip away the noise and sit in genuine solitude. You see them for what they are. Escape mechanisms, ways you've been avoiding the hard stuff. Maybe it's the past you haven't processed, the trauma sitting in your chest, the dreams you gave up on, the person you're disappointed in becoming. Whatever it is, it's there, waiting in the quiet. And every scroll, every binge, every distraction just delays the inevitable confrontation. Here's the thing about addictions, they're not always dramatic. You don't need a substance problem to be addicted. Can't sit alone without grabbing your phone. Addiction. Need constant background noise to feel okay. Escape. Panic when your calendar's empty. Avoidance. These patterns don't serve you. They keep you surface level, prevent real growth, steal your presence, your peace, your power, and you'll never break them if you don't first see them clearly. Solitude is the mirror that shows what you've been hiding from. And yes, it's uncomfortable. You'll see behaviors you're not proud of, patterns you didn't know controlled you, dependencies you didn't realize owned you. But that discomfort, it's the price of freedom. Because once you see it, you can change it. Once you acknowledge what you're running from, you can turn around and face it. Once you recognize your escapes, you can choose differently, not overnight, not perfectly, but intentionally. The Stoics practiced ruthless self-examination, questioned everything, challenged every comfort, asked hard questions, not to punish themselves, to free themselves, to live deliberately instead of reactively. That's what solitude offers. A chance to stop running, put down the distractions, face yourself fully, and choose freedom over escape. Most people never break these patterns because they never even see them. They're too busy running to notice what they're running from, too distracted to realize they're addicted to distraction, too comfortable being uncomfortable to seek real peace. But you're different. You're here. You're reading this. You're willing to look at the hard stuff. That willingness is rare. Most people will spend their entire lives avoiding this confrontation. They'll stay surface level forever, never go deep, never face themselves, never break free. You don't have to be like them. Solitude gives you the chance to see clearly, to face what you've been avoiding, to break patterns that have been running your life, to choose presence over escape, to build real peace instead of temporary comfort. But it requires courage, the kind that makes you sit still when everything in you wants to move, that makes you face pain instead of numbing it, that makes you choose growth over comfort. That courage is in you. You just have to use it. The question is, are you brave enough to sit still and see what comes up? To face the patterns you've been avoiding? To choose freedom over familiar escape? If you're committed to facing yourself, declare it. I face myself with courage. Number 6. Solitude reveals what you're actually capable of. You've been underestimating yourself your entire life, not because you're weak, because you've always had someone else to lean on, someone to help, someone to save you, someone to do the hard parts. And every time someone else steps in, you rob yourself of discovering your own power. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But you can't realize that power when you're constantly delegating it to others. Solitude forces you to figure things out alone. No one to call when things get hard. No one to fix it for you. No one to blame when it doesn't work. Just you, the problem, and your ability to handle it. And that's when something extraordinary happens. You discover you're more capable than you ever imagined. Think about the last time you solved something completely alone, really alone. No Google, no asking for help, no safety net. Remember that feeling when you finally figured it out? That surge of confidence? That wasn't luck. That was you. Your resourcefulness, your resilience, your ability to adapt and overcome. That's always been there. You just never needed to access it before. Most people go their whole lives never tapping into their full potential because they never have to, always surrounded by people who can do it better, faster, easier. So they stay comfortable, stay dependent, stay small, and they never know what they're truly made of. But when you choose solitude, when you put yourself in situations where you have to rely entirely on yourself, you level up. You learn skills you didn't think you could learn, solve problems you thought were impossible, survive things you thought would break you, and each time you do, you expand what you believe is possible. This isn't about suffering for the sake of it. It's about intentionally creating space where you have to show up fully, where you can't hide behind anyone else's strength, where your growth isn't optional, it's necessary. The Stoics called this voluntary discomfort. They deliberately put themselves in challenging situations to build resilience, not because they enjoyed pain, because they understood that comfort creates weakness and challenge creates strength. When you're always in groups, always asking for help, always taking the easy path, you're not growing, you're maintaining, and maintaining is just slow decline dressed up as stability. Real growth requires you to stretch beyond comfortable, Try things you might fail at. Stand alone when it would be easier to follow. Face challenges that scare you. And here's the beautiful part. Every time you discover a new capability in yourself, your confidence skyrockets. Not the fake kind that comes from people hyping you up. The real, unshakable kind that comes from knowing what you've overcome. From having proof that you can handle whatever comes. You're stronger than you think, smarter than you believe, more capable than you've given yourself credit for. But you'll never know that until you stop outsourcing your power and start claiming it. Every skill you've learned, every problem you've solved, every challenge you've overcome, that was you, your capability, your strength, not luck, not help, you. And there's so much more inside you waiting to be discovered. Capabilities you haven't tapped into, strengths you haven't needed yet, potential you haven't explored. Solitude is where you find all of it, where you push yourself beyond what you thought possible, where you discover that the limits you believed in were just stories you told yourself. Number 7. Solitude lets you design your life instead of defaulting into one. Question that'll shake you. Are you living your life or just living the life that happened to you? Big difference. Most people never stop long enough to figure out which one they're doing. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Simple, powerful, but impossible if you never take time to answer that first part. Who would you be if nobody was watching? If you weren't trying to impress anyone? If you weren't following someone else's blueprint? Most people default through life. Take the job that was offered. Stay in the city they grew up in. Date whoever shows interest. Follow the path of least resistance. Then one day they wake up at 50, look around, and realize they're living someone else's dream. Or worse, nobody's dream at all. That's what happens when you never step back and actually design your life. When you never get quiet enough to ask, what do I actually want? Not what my parents want. Not what looks impressive. Not what everyone else is chasing. What do I want? Solitude gives you that space. Away from the noise, the expectations, the comparisons, you can finally think clearly. Map out what matters to you, what lights you up, what you're willing to sacrifice for, what success actually means to you, not what social media says it should mean. This is where you get brutally honest. Maybe you realize you don't want the corporate ladder everyone's climbing. Maybe you see that the relationship you're in is about comfort, not passion. Maybe you discover the life you're building looks impressive but feels empty. And maybe you finally give yourself permission to want something different. The Stoics were obsessed with intentional living. They didn't let life happen to them. They examined every choice, every commitment, every path. Asked themselves constantly, is this aligned with who I want to be? Is this moving me toward my vision or away from it? But you can't ask those questions in chaos. Can't design your life while reacting to everyone else's demands. You need space, time, silence. The kind of deep thinking that only happens when you're alone with a journal, a blank page, and the courage to be honest. What would your life look like if you designed it from scratch? If you ignored all the shoulds and focused only on what actually matters to you? If you built it around your values, your passions, your definition of success? That life is possible. But it requires you to stop defaulting and start deciding. Stop following and start leading yourself first. Get quiet enough to hear what you really want, brave enough to go after it. Most people never do this. They let life happen to them, react instead of create, follow instead of lead. And they wake up decades later wondering where their life went, wondering why they feel unfulfilled despite doing everything right. Don't be like them. Take time in solitude to design your life intentionally. Write down what you actually want, not what sounds good, not what looks impressive. what you want. Then build toward that. Make decisions based on your vision, not other people's expectations. This doesn't mean you ignore practical realities. It means you make conscious choices instead of unconscious defaults. You choose your direction instead of letting circumstances choose for you. Your life is the most important project you'll ever work on. It deserves intentional design, careful planning, thoughtful execution, not default settings and autopilot reactions. Solitude gives you the space to become the architect of your life, to draw the blueprints, to choose the materials, to build something that's genuinely yours. The question is, will you take that time? Will you step away from the noise long enough to design something meaningful? Or will you keep defaulting through life, hoping it turns out okay? Your life, your choice, your design. Take ownership of your life with this affirmation: I design my life with intention. Number 8, solitude shows you who deserves a place in your life. Want to know who really matters? Spend time alone. When you step away from constant interaction, something powerful happens. You start seeing your relationships clearly. No more pretending, no more obligation, just truth. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Sounds simple, but most of us do the opposite. We keep people around out of habit, history, or fear of being alone. Maintain relationships that drain us because ending them feels harder than enduring them. Say yes to people we don't even like because saying no feels uncomfortable. Solitude changes that. When you're comfortable being alone, you stop tolerating relationships that don't serve you. Stop giving energy to people who don't reciprocate. Stop showing up for people who wouldn't show up for you, because you're no longer afraid of the alternative. Look at your friend group right now. Honest look. How many of those people genuinely add value to your life? How many inspire you, challenge you, support your growth? And how many just exist there, taking up space, energy, and time without giving anything real back? Here's what most people won't tell you. Some relationships are meant to end, not because anyone did anything wrong, just because you've outgrown them. You're evolving, they're staying the same. You're moving forward, they're comfortable where they are, and that's okay. But staying in those relationships out of guilt or nostalgia, that's not loyalty, that's self-sabotage. Solitude gives you the clarity to see this. When you're not constantly surrounded by people, you notice who you actually miss, who adds value, who energizes you versus who depletes you. You start realizing that some people you thought were friends are really just familiar, and familiar isn't the same as meaningful. The Stoics were selective about their company. They understood that the people around you shape who you become. Their energy becomes your energy. Their standards become your standards. Their mindset influences your mindset, so they chose carefully. And they weren't afraid to walk alone when necessary. This doesn't mean you become cold or cut people off harshly. It means you become intentional. Invest your time and energy where it actually matters. Stop trying to maintain every connection. Start nurturing the ones that genuinely enrich your life. And here's the beautiful part. When you raise your standards for relationships, something shifts. You start attracting better people. Because you're no longer desperate for connection. You're selective about it. And that selectiveness, that's magnetic. Quality people respect it. They're drawn to it. You also show up differently. When you're not spread thin trying to please everyone, you can be fully present for the people who truly matter. Give more because you're giving to fewer. And those relationships deepen in ways surface-level connections never could. Stop holding on to people who don't hold on to you. Stop forcing connections that feel like work. Stop being everyone's friend. Start being selective about who gets access to your energy. your time, your life. Quality over quantity, always. This isn't about becoming a hermit or cutting everyone off. It's about being intentional, about recognizing that your time and energy are finite, about investing them where they create real value. The people who truly belong in your life will prove it, not through words, but through consistent action, through reciprocal effort, through genuine care that shows up when it matters. And the ones who don't, let them go. Not with anger, not with drama, just with the quiet understanding that not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Number 9. Solitude prepares you for life's inevitable storms. Life will break you, not might, will. Loss will find you. Failure will knock you down. People will leave. Plans will fall apart. And when that moment comes, not if, but when, the only thing that'll save you is the foundation you built in solitude. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. But you can't turn obstacles into opportunities if you crumble the moment things get hard. You need to be built different, and that building happens alone." Think about the strongest people you know, the ones who've survived real pain and came out solid. They weren't born that way. They were forged that way, through nights alone with their grief, through moments where no one could save them and they had to save themselves, through the kind of darkness that either destroys you or transforms you. Here's the reality nobody talks about. At some point, everyone faces something they have to go through alone. A loss so personal no one else can feel it. A fear so deep no one else can fight it. A decision so heavy no one else can make it. And in that moment, all the people who were there for you, they can't help. Not really. It's just you and the storm. Solitude prepares you for those moments. Every hour you spend building yourself up, working through your pain, facing your fears alone, that's armor, that's strength. That's the difference between someone who survives the storm and someone who gets swept away. The Stoics practiced negative visualization. They imagined worst-case scenarios, not to be pessimistic, to be prepared. They asked themselves, what if I lost everything? What if I had to start over? What if the people I depend on disappeared? Then they built the inner resources to handle it. That's not dark, that's smart. Because life doesn't ask if you're ready before it hits you. It just hits. And the people who make it through aren't the lucky ones. They're the prepared ones. The ones who did the work in private, who built themselves up when no one was watching, who learned to hold themselves together before they had to. When you master solitude, you develop something unshakable. The knowledge that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. Not because nothing bad will happen, but because you've proven to yourself that you can handle it. You've sat with pain before, faced fear before, been alone before, and you survived. More than survived. You grew. That confidence changes everything. You stop making decisions from fear. Stop clinging to people and situations because you're terrified of losing them. You engage with life fully, knowing that even if it all falls apart, you have yourself. And that's enough. Build that foundation now, in the quiet, in the stillness, before the storm comes. Because when it does, you'll be grateful you did. Think about the last time something went wrong, really wrong. How did you handle it? Did you fall apart? Did you immediately reach out for someone to fix it? Or did you find strength within yourself you didn't know existed? The truth is, most people discover their real strength only when they have no other choice. When the storm hits and there's nowhere to run. But by then, it's too late to prepare. You either have the foundation or you don't. Solitude lets you build that foundation intentionally, before you need it. Before life forces you to find strength you're not sure you have. You practice sitting with discomfort, facing fear, processing pain, handling challenges alone. So when the real storm comes, you're not scrambling, you're steady. This isn't about becoming emotionless or isolated. It's about building resilience, creating internal resources that no external circumstance can take away, developing the kind of strength that doesn't depend on everything going right, because things won't always go right. People will disappoint you, plans will fail, loss will come, and in those moments, all the external props fall away. The only thing left is what you've built within yourself. Make sure that foundation is solid. Make sure when everything else crumbles, you still stand. Make sure the storms of life find you prepared, not panicked. That preparation happens in solitude, in the hours you spend alone, building yourself up, facing your fears, processing your pain, strengthening your mind, fortifying your spirit. As you build your resilience, ground yourself with this: I am my own foundation. Number 10. Solitude transforms you into your highest self. Here's the ultimate truth. The person you're capable of becoming only emerges in solitude. Not the version of you that performs for others, not the one that fits in, the real one, the powerful one, the one you've been avoiding because becoming them requires letting go of who you've been. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the sacred space between you and your potential. In the hours you spend alone, doing the work nobody sees, building the person everyone will eventually meet. Every great transformation requires a chrysalis phase, a period of isolation where you break down everything you were to become what you're meant to be. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly at a party. It happens alone, in the dark, through a process that looks like destruction, but is actually creation. That's what solitude offers you, the space to completely reconstruct yourself, to examine every belief you've been carrying and ask, is this mine or did I inherit it? To look at every habit and decide, does this serve my highest self or my lowest? To face every fear and choose, will I let this control me, or will I transcend it? The Stoics understood this. They knew that becoming your best self requires ruthless self-examination and intentional self-creation. You can't do that with an audience, can't evolve while maintaining an image, can't transform while performing. Think about who you want to be 5 years from now, not the surface stuff, the car, the house, the status, but who you want to be as a person, what kind of character, what kind of strength, what kind of wisdom. Now ask yourself honestly, will that person emerge from the life you're living right now, surrounded by the same people, doing the same things, avoiding the same discomfort? Nah. That version of you is waiting in the solitude you keep avoiding. They're built from the hard conversations you have with yourself alone, the disciplines you practice when no one's watching, the growth you choose when it would be easier to stay the same. This is your invitation, not to become a hermit, not to abandon everyone, but to prioritize the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. To spend intentional time alone, building yourself into someone you're proud to be. Someone who doesn't need external validation because they've validated themselves. Someone who doesn't crumble under pressure because they've built themselves to withstand it. Your highest self is calling, not from out there, from within. And the only way to answer that call is to get quiet enough to hear it, brave enough to follow it, disciplined enough to become it. Everything you've ever wanted to be is on the other side of the solitude you're afraid of. Stop running, start building. The world needs the version of you that only emerges when you're alone. Think about the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. That gap doesn't close through more connection, more distraction, more external validation. It closes through intentional work in solitude, through the daily practice of becoming. through the discipline of self-creation. Most people never close that gap. They die with their potential still inside them. Not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked the courage to spend time alone transforming themselves. They stayed comfortable, stayed distracted, stayed surrounded, and stayed the same. You don't have to be like them. You have the power to become your highest self, to transform into the person you're meant to be, to close the gap between current and potential. But it requires solitude. Intentional, uncomfortable, transformative solitude. The caterpillar must enter the chrysalis to become the butterfly. You must enter solitude to become your highest self. There's no shortcut, no way around it, only through it. The question is, are you ready? So here we are. 10 truths about solitude and self-mastery. 10 invitations to stop running and start building. 10 reminders that the person you're looking for has been waiting in the quiet this whole time. This isn't theory. This is your life. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep filling every moment with noise, distraction, and other people. Keep avoiding yourself, pretending everything's fine, staying surface level forever. Or you can do something different. You can choose solitude, not as punishment, but as power. Not as isolation, but as transformation. Give yourself the gift of time alone. Real time, uncomfortable time, growth time. Time to strip away the masks, build genuine strength, hear your purpose, understand your relationships, face your addictions, discover your capabilities, design your life, choose quality connections, prepare for storms, and become your highest self. The Stoics didn't practice solitude because they hated people. They practiced it because they understood that mastering yourself is the prerequisite to everything else, to meaningful relationships, to genuine success, to lasting peace, to a life that's truly yours. This journey starts with a single decision: to stop being afraid of being alone, to see solitude not as something to escape, but as something to embrace, to understand that the time you spend with yourself isn't wasted. It's the most valuable investment you'll ever make. So, take that first step. Turn off your phone for an hour. Sit with yourself without distraction. Face what comes up. Build from there. One day at a time, one moment at a time, until you're no longer afraid, until you're no longer running, until you've mastered the most important person you'll ever know. The transformation you're seeking doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the quiet, in the space between who you've been and who you're becoming, in the solitude you've been avoiding. Your highest self is waiting, not someday, not when things get easier, right now, in the silence. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me which truth hit you hardest. Share this with someone who needs it. Subscribe because we're just getting started here. This is only the beginning of your transformation. Your journey to self-mastery starts now, in the solitude, in the quiet, in the space where you finally meet yourself. Seal your commitment to this path with these words: I master myself in solitude. Hey warriors, stop for a second. Right now, take a breath and ask yourself this: what if the life you're grinding for is actually keeping you from living? What if all this chasing, proving, and fighting to become someone is just stopping you from being who you already are? Most people are running, sprinting towards some future version of themselves they think will finally be enough. They're working harder, pushing further, sacrificing more, all for that moment when they can finally exhale and say, I made it. But here's the problem: that moment never comes, because the finish line keeps moving. The goalpost shifts. What you thought would be enough suddenly isn't, and you're back on the treadmill, exhausted but unable to stop. You wake up every morning like you're behind, like you're losing a race everyone else is winning. You measure yourself against impossible standards, and somehow you always come up short. Not thin enough, not successful enough, not confident enough, not together enough, just not enough. Period. And underneath all of it is this gnawing feeling that you're wasting time, that life is happening somewhere else to other people, and you're stuck here waiting for your turn, waiting to be ready, waiting to be worthy, waiting for proof that you matter. But what if I told you that waiting is what's killing you? Not the circumstances, not the challenges, the waiting, the believing that someday, when you finally achieve enough, fix enough, become enough, then you'll be allowed to feel victorious. Then you'll get to breathe. Then you'll get to be at peace. That's the trap. That's the lie that keeps you small. Because victory isn't waiting for you at the end of some achievement. It's available right now in how you choose to see yourself and walk through this moment. Not through delusion, not through pretending, but through a fundamental shift in understanding what winning actually means. There's an ancient philosophy, born in the hardest circumstances imaginable, that teaches something radical. The game you think you're playing isn't the real game. The real game is internal. It's about who you become while everything around you falls apart. It's about standing firm in yourself when the world is chaos. It's about being unshakable, not because nothing touches you, but because you've stopped needing external things to feel complete. This isn't motivational fluff. This isn't positive thinking. This is about recognizing that you've been playing by rules that were designed to keep you feeling inadequate. And the moment you see those rules for what they are, you can stop playing that game entirely. Today, I'm going to walk you through 10 truths that will fundamentally change how you see yourself and your life. These aren't theories. These aren't ideas to think about later. These are principles that, if you actually apply them, will shift everything. How you show up, how you make decisions, how you handle pressure, how you see winning and losing. If you're exhausted from feeling like you're never enough, this is for you. If you're tired of postponing your life until some perfect future, this is for you. If you're ready to stop performing and start living, stay with me. Every single word here is designed to break you free from the mental prison you've been living in. Before we go further, do this. Hit that like button, drop a comment below, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel because what's coming will change everything. And don't skip any part of this video. If this resonates with you, write below, "I am already victorious." Let's begin. Number 1. Stop auditioning for a life you already have. You're auditioning, right now, for a role you've already been cast in, trying to prove you deserve a life that's already yours, seeking approval for an existence that doesn't require anyone's signature. Every time you hold back in conversation because you're worried about what they'll think. Every time you downplay your achievements because you don't want to seem arrogant. Every time you apologize for taking up space. Every time you perform for validation, you're auditioning. And here's the truth that'll set you free. The audition was never real. Nobody gave you this life conditionally. You weren't issued your existence with a clause that says you have to earn the right to be here through achievement, beauty, success, or likability. You're here. That's it. That's the whole requirement. You're already cast in the lead role of your own life. Stop trying out for it. Think about how much energy you burn every day trying to prove yourself, crafting the perfect response, choosing the right outfit, saying what you think people want to hear instead of what's true, measuring your worth by reactions, likes, approvals from people who are too busy auditioning themselves to even notice you. It's exhausting, and it's completely unnecessary. There's an old story about a king who dressed as a beggar and wandered his kingdom. He spent days bowing to his own subjects, asking for their approval, hoping they'd see his worth. The tragedy wasn't that they didn't recognize him. The tragedy was that he forgot who he was. That's what you're doing every time you seek validation. You're the king dressed as a beggar, asking strangers if you're allowed to access power you already possess. Living as if you've already won means remembering who you are, not who you'll be when you achieve more, not who you'd be if you were different, who you are right now. A conscious being having a human experience, someone with inherent worth that doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. You don't need to audition for anyone, not for love, not for respect, not for opportunity, not for belonging. You show up as yourself, fully and unapologetically, and whoever recognizes your value gets access to you. Whoever doesn't, that's their loss, not yours. This doesn't mean you stop growing or improving. It means you stop waiting for external permission to claim your space. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop performing to be chosen when you've already chosen yourself. The audition is over. You got the part. Now play it like you mean it. Stop waiting in the wings for someone to call your name. Walk onto the stage of your own life and take your place. Not arrogantly, not apologetically, just firmly. With the quiet confidence of someone who knows they belong here. Claim this truth in the comments. I belong here. Number 2. Your peace is non-negotiable. Everything in your life is negotiable except one thing, your peace. And yet, that's the first thing most people trade away. For money, for acceptance, for relationships, for opportunities, for the illusion of control. You negotiate your peace every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you stay in conversations that drain you. Every time you accept treatment you know you don't deserve. Every time you betray yourself to keep someone else comfortable. And here's what you get in return: stress, resentment, exhaustion, and a life that looks successful on paper but feels hollow inside. You get applause from people who don't really know you. You get achievements that don't fill the void. You get everything except the one thing that actually matters: the ability to rest in your own skin. There's a concept in negotiation called BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It means you never enter a negotiation without knowing your walkaway point. The moment when you say, "This deal costs more than it's worth. I'm out." Your peace is your best alternative to a negotiated agreement for life. It's your non-negotiable. The moment any person, situation, or opportunity requires you to sacrifice your inner calm, you know the price is too high. You walk away, not with drama, not with anger, just with the clear recognition that nothing outside you is worth losing what's inside you. Most people don't walk away because they're afraid. Afraid of being alone, afraid of missing out, afraid of seeming difficult or ungrateful. So they stay in jobs that crush their spirit. They maintain friendships that feel like obligations. They accept love that comes with conditions and chaos. But here's what fear doesn't tell you. The cost of staying is always higher than the cost of leaving. You think you're preserving something by tolerating what hurts you, but you're actually destroying the most valuable thing you have, your sense of self. Living as if you've already won means protecting your peace like it's the last thing you own. Because in many ways it is. Strip away everything else and what remains? Your inner state. Your ability to be okay regardless of external chaos. That's the prize. That's what victory actually looks like. This doesn't mean you become cold or isolated. It means you become boundaried. You become clear about what you will and won't accept. You become someone who understands that real relationships, real opportunities, and real love don't require you to betray yourself. Your peace is the foundation everything else is built on. When it's solid, you can handle anything. When it's compromised, nothing else matters. Not success, not money, not status. Nothing feels right when you've lost your center. Stop negotiating. Stop trading. Stop selling yourself short for people and situations that don't value what you're offering. Set the boundary. Walk away when you need to. Choose yourself, not selfishly, but wisely. Because a person at peace is more valuable to this world than a person who's accomplished everything while losing themselves. If you're setting this boundary, let me see. My peace comes first. Number 3. Winning is what you walk away from. Society measures success by what you accumulate, how much you've gained, how high you've climbed, how much you've added to your life. But real power, real wisdom, that's measured by what you've learned to walk away from. Anyone can add. It takes no strength to say yes to everything, to chase every opportunity, to hold on to every relationship, to accumulate possessions, commitments, and complications. Addition is easy. Subtraction is where the real work lives. Walking away from a toxic relationship, even though you're afraid of being alone. That's winning. Walking away from a high-paying job that's killing your soul. That's winning. Walking away from the need to be right in an argument. That's winning. Walking away from revenge when you've been wronged. That's winning. Most people can't walk away because they've confused their worth with what they're holding on to. They think letting go means losing. They think walking away means failing. They think saying no means missing out. So they stay. They endure. They suffer in silence while calling it commitment, loyalty, or perseverance. But there's a difference between perseverance and prison, between commitment and compromise, between loyalty and self-abandonment. And knowing that difference is what separates people who live powerfully from people who just survive. There's an ancient teaching about the monkey trap. Hunters would hollow out a coconut, put food inside, and attach it to a tree. The hole was big enough for a monkey to reach in with an open hand, but too small to pull out a closed fist. The monkey would grab the food and refuse to let go, trapping itself. Freedom was always available. It just required releasing what it was holding. That's you. That's all of us. Trapped by our grip on things that aren't serving us. Jobs we hate, but won't leave because of the salary. Relationships that hurt us, but we won't end because we've invested too much time. Beliefs about ourselves that limit us, but we won't question because they're familiar. Grudges we won't release because we think our anger is protecting us. Living as if you've already won means understanding that the true trophy isn't what you collect. It's what you're wise enough to release. It's having the strength to say, this doesn't serve me anymore, and the courage to walk away, even when it's hard. Every master of life is also a master of letting go. They don't cling, they don't force, they don't hold on to people, outcomes, or versions of themselves that no longer fit. They release with grace what needs to go, trusting that what's meant for them won't require them to betray themselves. Look at your life right now. What are you holding on to that's actually holding you back? What relationship, belief, commitment, or possession is keeping you trapped? What would freedom look like if you had the courage to open your hand? For those ready to release what's holding them back, I walk away with strength. Number 4, you're building a reputation with yourself. Everyone's obsessed with their external reputation. What people think, what shows up when someone searches their name, how they're perceived at work, on social media, in their community. They manage their image like a brand, carefully curating what the world sees. But there's another reputation being built that matters infinitely more. The one you're building with yourself. The private scoreboard that tracks every promise you make and break to yourself. Every time you said you'd start and didn't. Every time you knew what was right and did what was easy instead. This reputation doesn't live in anyone's mind but yours. No one else is tracking it. No one else knows when you compromise it. But you know. And that knowledge, that internal credibility, is the foundation of everything else in your life. Every time you hit snooze when you said you'd wake up early, you're making a deposit into the account of self-distrust. Every time you scroll when you said you'd read, you're voting for a version of yourself you don't respect. Every time you stay quiet when you should speak up, you're teaching yourself that your voice doesn't matter. And the opposite is true. Every time you do what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it, you're building trust with yourself. Every time you honor your word to yourself, you're proving you're someone you can count on. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're becoming someone you're proud to be. This internal reputation is what determines your self-confidence. Not affirmations, not positive thinking, not other people's compliments. Real confidence comes from having evidence that you're reliable, that when you tell yourself something, you mean it, that you're not just full of talk and empty promises. Think about people you trust in the outside world. Why do you trust them? Because their words match their actions, because they do what they say they'll do, because they've built a track record of reliability. That's the same relationship you need with yourself. Living as if you've already won means treating promises to yourself as seriously as promises to others, maybe more seriously. Because if you can't trust yourself, you've lost your foundation. If you can't count on yourself to show up, to follow through, to do what's hard, then nothing else matters. Your external reputation can recover from almost anything. People forget. Time passes. You can rebuild what others think of you, but your internal reputation, that's with you every moment, in every decision, in every quiet moment when no one's watching except the person looking back at you in the mirror. Stop breaking promises to yourself. Stop saying tomorrow when you mean never. Stop betraying the one person who has to live with you forever. You. Start small. Pick one thing. Do it consistently. Build evidence that you're someone worth trusting. The victory isn't in impressing others. It's in becoming someone you respect. Someone whose word to themselves actually means something. That's the reputation that changes everything. If you're building trust with yourself, declare, "I keep my word to me." Number 5. Your standards create your reality. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you tolerate. Read that again. Everything in your life right now, every relationship, every circumstance, every situation exists because on some level you've accepted it. The disrespect you're experiencing, you tolerated it once, so it continued. The mediocre effort you're surrounded by, you accepted it, so it became the standard. The life that feels smaller than you know you're capable of, you've been willing to live there, so there you remain. This isn't about blame. This is about power. Because if your tolerance created your current reality, then changing your standards can create a different one. Most people have standards for what they want, but no standards for what they'll accept. They dream big, but tolerate small. They want respect, but accept disrespect. They want growth, but settle for comfort. They want excellence, but make excuses for mediocrity. Your standards are the invisible fence around your life. They determine what gets in and what stays out. They're not about judging others. They're about honoring yourself enough to say, "This is the minimum I will accept." Not because I'm better than anyone, but because I know my worth. Low standards don't protect you from disappointment. They guarantee it. When you accept less than you deserve, you're not being flexible or understanding. You're training the world to treat you as optional, as someone whose boundaries don't really matter, as someone who says one thing but accepts another. There's a principle called the water level. If you put a boat in water, it rises to the water level, not higher, not lower, exactly to the level of what's beneath it. Your life rises to the level of your standards, not your hopes, not your potential, your standards. Living as if you've already won means having winner's standards, not in arrogance but in self-respect. It means deciding what you will and won't accept, and then holding that line even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. This shows up everywhere, in how you let people speak to you, in the effort you accept from others, in the work you're willing to put your name on, in the environments you're willing to stay in the excuses you're willing to accept from yourself. Raise your standards and everything else rises with it. Not immediately, not without resistance, but inevitably. Because the universe responds to what you demonstrate you'll accept, not what you say you want. Stop tolerating what you've been tolerating. Stop making excuses for people who consistently show you who they are. Stop accepting behavior that violates your values. Stop staying in situations that require you to shrink. Set the standard, hold the line, walk away from what doesn't meet it, not angrily, not dramatically, just firmly, with the quiet certainty of someone who knows their worth isn't up for negotiation. Your reality will adjust. It always does. Those raising their standards affirm this: I deserve better. Number 6. The battle you're avoiding is making you weak. There's a conversation you need to have, but you're avoiding. A decision you need to make, but you keep postponing. A truth you need to face, but you keep pretending isn't there. And every day you avoid it, it gets heavier. Every day you run from it, it gets stronger. Every day you pretend it doesn't exist, it takes more of your power. Avoidance feels like protection. It feels like you're keeping yourself safe, but you're not. You're keeping yourself stuck. You're trading temporary comfort for permanent weakness. You're choosing the pain of staying the same over the pain of change. The thing about avoided battles is they don't disappear. They wait, they grow, they compound. That difficult conversation doesn't get easier with time. That hard decision doesn't become clearer by ignoring it. That fear you're running from doesn't shrink while you hide. Most people spend their entire lives running from the same 5 or 6 battles: the conversation with their parent, the ending of a dead relationship, the career change they know they need, the boundary they need to set, the truth they need to speak. They spend decades building elaborate systems to avoid what could be resolved in a single moment of courage. And here's the cost. Every avoided battle drains you. Not obviously, not dramatically, but constantly, like a leak in your gas tank. You wake up tired, you feel anxious for no clear reason, you're irritable, you're distracted, because part of you is always standing guard, making sure that thing you're avoiding stays buried. You know what takes more energy than facing your battles: avoiding them. You know what's harder than having that difficult conversation, carrying the weight of not having it for another year. You know what's more painful than change, staying the same while pretending you chose it. Living as if you've already won means facing what you've been avoiding, not because you're fearless, but because you understand that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something matters more than your fear. Winners don't avoid hard things, they walk toward them. Not because it's easy, because it's necessary. They understand that the growth they want lives on the other side of the discomfort they're avoiding. That person you need to confront, face them. That truth you need to speak, say it. That relationship you need to end it. That risk you need to take it. That help you need to ask for, ask. That forgiveness you need to offer, give it. Will it be hard? Yes. Will it be uncomfortable? Absolutely. Will you survive it? You've survived every hard thing you've ever faced. This won't be different. The moment you stop running and face what you've been avoiding, something shifts. Not just externally, internally. You reclaim power you didn't even realize you'd given away. You become someone who doesn't hide from their life, someone who meets it head-on. The battle you're avoiding is the exact battle you need to fight to become who you're meant to be. If you're done avoiding, commit below. I face it now. Number 7. You're not broken, you're unfinished. You've been treating yourself like a problem to fix, like something's fundamentally wrong with you, like you're damaged goods that need to be repaired before you're allowed to fully participate in life. And that belief, that single belief, is costing you everything. You're not broken, you're in process. You're not defective, you're developing. You're not a finished product that got damaged. You're a work in progress that's exactly where it should be. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. Every person you admire struggled with the same doubts, fears, and failures you're struggling with now. The difference isn't that they were special or chosen or naturally gifted. The difference is they didn't quit on themselves when things got hard. We live in a world that shows you everyone's highlight reel and none of their struggle. You see the finished painting, but not the hundreds of failed attempts. You see the successful business, but not the years of barely surviving. You see the confident person, but not the nights they cried themselves to sleep, wondering if they'd ever figure it out. So you compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's show reel and conclude something must be wrong with you. You must be broken. You must be the only one who struggles this much. You must be fundamentally flawed in ways others aren't. That's the lie. That's the trap. That's what keeps you small. Living as if you've already won means understanding that you're exactly where you need to be to get where you're going. Every failure is teaching you something success never could. Every setback is redirecting you towards something better. Every moment you feel lost is actually you finding your way. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not ruined by your past or disqualified by your mistakes. You're learning, you're growing, you're becoming. And that process, that beautiful, messy, uncomfortable process, is exactly what's supposed to be happening. Stop waiting to be fixed before you start living. Stop believing you need to be perfect before you're allowed to try. Stop treating yourself like you're not good enough yet. You're good enough now. Not because you're finished, because you're willing to be unfinished and show up anyway. The Japanese have a concept called kintsukuroi. When a bowl breaks, instead of throwing it away or hiding the cracks, they repair it with gold. The bowl becomes more valuable, more beautiful, because of where it broke. The cracks become part of its story, its character, its worth. That's you. Every crack, every break, every place you think you're damaged is actually where your light gets in. It's where your character is formed. It's what makes you real, relatable, and remarkably human. You're not broken. You're breaking through. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. Trust the process. Trust yourself. You're becoming exactly who you need to be. For everyone in process, remember, I am becoming. Number 8. Your silence is agreement. Every time you stay silent when something's wrong, you're not keeping the peace. You're giving your approval. Every time you witness disrespect and say nothing, you're not being diplomatic. You're being complicit. Every time you swallow your truth to avoid confrontation, you're not protecting the relationship. You're betraying yourself. Your silence speaks louder than you think. It tells people what you'll tolerate. It shows them where your boundaries actually are, not where you claim they are. It teaches the world that your comfort matters less than their convenience. And here's what happens. You become invisible in your own life. You watch things unfold that violate everything you believe in, and you say nothing. You experience treatment you know you don't deserve, and you accept it. You see opportunities to speak truth, and you swallow it, all in the name of avoiding discomfort. But that discomfort doesn't disappear. It just moves inside. It becomes resentment, frustration, self-loathing. That quiet voice that whispers, "Why didn't you say something? Why do you always do this? Why are you so weak?" The cost of your silence isn't paid by others. It's paid by you, in your self-respect, in your sense of power, in your ability to look yourself in the mirror and recognize the person staring back. Most people stay silent because they're afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid of being disliked, afraid of rocking the boat, afraid of the consequences of speaking up. But they never consider the consequences of staying silent. They never count the cost of betraying themselves repeatedly in the name of false harmony. There's a difference between choosing your battles wisely and avoiding all battles out of fear, between being diplomatic and being dormant, between strategic silence and cowardly silence. And you know the difference. You feel it in your gut every time you choose silence when your soul is screaming to speak. Living as if you've already won means using your voice, not recklessly, not cruelly, but honestly. It means saying the thing that needs to be said, even when your voice shakes. It means standing up for what's right, even when you're standing alone. It means refusing to participate in your own erasure. This doesn't mean you become aggressive or confrontational. It means you become honest. You say, "That doesn't work for me." You say, "I see this differently." You say, "I need to address something." You say, "This isn't okay." You speak not because you expect to change others. You speak because silence changes you into someone smaller, someone quieter, someone who matters less, starting with how much you matter to yourself. Your voice is your power. Your truth is your weapon. Your willingness to speak is what separates people who live on their own terms from people who live on everyone else's. Stop outsourcing your voice to fear. Stop letting discomfort silence what needs to be said. Stop trading your truth for temporary peace. Speak, even if it's uncomfortable. Especially if it's uncomfortable. If you're reclaiming your voice, say it, "I speak my truth." Number 9. Waiting is the real risk. You think you're being careful, strategic, waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, the right level of readiness. But you're not waiting, you're hiding. And calling it wisdom doesn't make it less destructive. The right time doesn't exist. The perfect moment isn't coming. The day when you feel completely ready will never arrive. Because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And waiting for the feeling is just fear wearing a disguise. Every day you wait to start that business, someone else starts theirs. Every day you wait to have that conversation, the distance grows. Every day you wait to make that change, you're choosing to stay the same. And staying the same while pretending you're preparing, that's not strategy, that's self-deception. We've been taught that risk is in action, in trying, in putting yourself out there. But the real risk is in waiting, in postponing, in letting years pass while you gather courage that only comes from doing the thing you're afraid to do. You want to know what's risky, dying with your dreams still inside you, reaching the end of your life and realizing you spent it preparing instead of living. Looking back and seeing all the moments you said someday when you could have said today. The people you admire didn't wait until they were ready. They started before they felt ready and became ready through the doing. They took messy action. They failed forward. They learned by trying, not by planning to try someday. Living as if you've already won means understanding that the starting line is the finish line. The moment you begin is the moment you've already succeeded. Not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because you've overcome the biggest obstacle there is, inaction. You're waiting for confidence to take action, but confidence comes from action. You're waiting for clarity to make decisions, but clarity comes from decisions. You're waiting to feel brave before you move, but bravery is moving while you're scared. Every single day you delay is a day you can't get back. Every opportunity you postpone might not be there when you finally decide you're ready. Every person you're waiting to connect with might not be available when you finally work up the courage. Time is the one resource you can't earn more of. You can make more money, you can build new relationships, you can learn new skills, but you can't create more time. What you have right now is all you get, and every moment you spend waiting is a moment you're choosing not to spend living. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for fear to disappear. It won't. Do it afraid. Do it imperfectly. Do it now. The graveyard is full of people who were waiting for the right time. Don't join them. Start messy. Start scared. Start today. Because waiting is the real risk you can't afford to take. Those choosing action over waiting affirm, I start today. Number 10. This moment is your proof. You've been looking for proof that you're enough, that you're worthy, that you matter. You've been searching for it in achievements, relationships, validation, success. Scanning the external world for evidence of internal worth. And every time you look outside for what's only found inside, you come up empty. But here's what you've missed. You already have all the proof you need. It's not coming. It's here. You're experiencing it right now. The fact that you're reading these words is proof. Proof that you survived everything that tried to break you. Proof that you're still looking for answers, still growing, still trying. Proof that something in you refuses to give up, even when giving up would be easier. You're here, still breathing, still standing, still fighting for a better version of yourself and your life. That's not weakness. That's proof of your strength. That's evidence of your resilience. That's the victory you've been looking for outside yourself. Every breath you take is proof you're alive. Every challenge you've faced and overcome is proof you're capable. Every time you got back up after falling is proof you're unbreakable. Every moment you chose growth over comfort is proof you're committed to becoming more. You don't need external validation to know you matter. You don't need achievements to prove your worth. You don't need other people's approval to confirm you're enough. The proof is in your persistence, in your presence, in the fact that life has tested you repeatedly and you're still here. Living as if you've already won means recognizing that you are the proof. Not what you've accomplished, not what you own, not what others say about you. You, your existence, your journey, your willingness to keep showing up even when it's hard. Stop waiting for some future accomplishment to validate your worth. Stop believing that when you finally achieve that thing, you'll finally feel like you've made it. You've already made it. You're here. You're conscious. You're trying. That's the whole victory right there. This moment, right now, is all the proof you need that you're exactly where you need to be. Not behind, not ahead, here. In this specific moment with this specific experience, learning what you need to learn, becoming who you need to become. You've been treating proof like something you need to earn, but proof isn't earned, it's recognized. And once you recognize that your existence is proof enough, everything changes. You stop performing, you stop proving, you start living. The evidence of your worth isn't waiting in your future. It's written in your past and present in every moment you didn't give up, in every time you tried again, in every breath you take that says, I'm still here, I'm still trying, I still believe there's more for me. That's your proof, that's your victory, that's everything. If you recognize your own worth, state, I am enough. You made it to the end. And that matters more than you realize. Most people quit halfway through anything that challenges them, but you stayed. That tells me something about who you are. Living as if you've already won isn't a mindset trick. It's a fundamental shift in how you see yourself and move through this world. It's understanding that the scoreboard you've been watching doesn't determine your value, that the race you've been running was always against yourself, that the win you've been chasing has been available every single moment you chose to show up as who you really are. You don't need more time, more resources, more credentials, more permission. You need to stop waiting and start claiming what's already yours. Your power, your voice, your life, your right to exist fully without apologizing for taking up space. Everything we covered today is useless unless you use it. These aren't concepts to admire, they're principles to live by. Starting right now, starting with the next decision you make, starting with how you speak to yourself when you close this video. The world needs people who've stopped performing and started living, who've stopped waiting for permission and started giving it to themselves, who understand that victory isn't about having everything, it's about needing nothing external to feel complete. You've already won, you just needed someone to remind you. Now go live like you believe it. If this video shifted something in you, don't let that shift die here. Hit that like button, share this with someone who's tired of feeling like they're losing. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. Subscribe to this channel because we're building something real here. You've already won. Stop waiting for external proof. Start being the proof. Seal your commitment with this. I live like I've won. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Now go claim what's yours. Hey warriors, every night life beats you up a little. Stress leaves marks, worry creates cracks, fear breaks pieces off, disappointment wears you down. And when you wake up the next morning, your mind is damaged, not broken, but damaged. And most people ignore it. They just push through wondering why they feel weaker every single day. Here's what nobody tells you. Your mind isn't a machine that runs forever without maintenance. It's more like a house. And every day that house takes damage. A storm hits it. The foundation settles. The walls get scratched. The roof gets worn. And if you don't fix the damage, eventually the whole thing collapses. The ancient Stoics understood this better than anyone. These weren't soft philosophers sitting in comfortable rooms talking about theories. These were men who faced real damage. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome while dealing with wars, plagues, and betrayals. Epictetus was a slave whose leg was broken by his master. Seneca watched everything he built get torn away from him. They knew about damage, and they knew something else. You either repair your mind every morning, or you let it crumble. This isn't about being perfect. This isn't about never getting hurt. Life will hurt you. That's guaranteed. The question is, will you fix the damage, or will you let it pile up until you can't function anymore? Today, I'm giving you 12 simple repairs, not complicated philosophy, not fancy techniques that require an hour of your morning. Simple fixes that anyone can do. Each one targets a different kind of damage, and together they'll keep your mind strong enough to handle whatever today throws at you. Seneca said something that changed how the Stoics saw every morning. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Every morning is a fresh start, but only if you actually start fresh. Only if you fix yesterday's damage instead of dragging it into today. Before we start, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs their mind repaired. And subscribe to this channel because we're not here to entertain you. We're here to rebuild you. And don't skip any part of this video. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal every morning, not to inspire others, to repair himself, to fix the damage before he stepped into a world that would damage him again. He understood that mental strength isn't something you have or don't have. It's something you build every single morning. Your mind is damaged right now. That's not an insult. That's reality. The only question is, are you going to fix it or ignore it? Type this in the comments if you're ready. I fix my mind every morning. Number 1. Throw out yesterday's trash. You wake up, and the first thing your brain does is hand you yesterday's garbage, the argument you had, the mistake you made, the opportunity you missed, the embarrassing thing you said. Your mind dumps it all right back in your lap like it just happened 5 minutes ago. And here's what most people do. They pick it up. They carry it. They spend their entire morning replaying it, analyzing it, beating themselves up over it. Then they wonder why they feel heavy before they even get out of bed. Seneca watched people do this their entire lives. Carry trash from yesterday into today, from last week into this week, from years ago into right now. And he said something simple but powerful. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. But you can't enjoy the present when you're dragging the past behind you. Here's the truth about yesterday. It's done. Completely done. You can't change what happened. You can't unsay what you said. You can't undo what you did. The only thing you can control is whether you're going to keep carrying it or not. Think about actual trash. You wouldn't take yesterday's garbage out of the bin and carry it around with you all day. That would be insane. Yet that's exactly what you do with mental trash. You pull it out of yesterday and carry it into today, then into tomorrow, then into next week. Your mind becomes a landfill of old garbage that should have been thrown out a long time ago. The Stoics practiced something every morning. They would consciously let go of yesterday, not by pretending it didn't happen, not by suppressing it, but by acknowledging it and choosing not to carry it forward. They understood that yesterday has no power in today unless you give it that power. Here's your first repair. Take 30 seconds. Right after you wake up, before you check your phone, before you start thinking about your day, ask yourself this question. What am I carrying from yesterday that I don't need to carry today? Maybe it's a conversation that went wrong. Maybe it's a mistake at work. Maybe it's something someone said to you. Whatever it is, name it. Then say out loud or in your head, "That's done. I'm not carrying it anymore." It sounds too simple to work. But here's what happens. When you consciously release something, you're telling your brain, "This no longer gets space in my head. I'm not giving it attention. I'm not feeding it energy. It's trash, and trash goes out." You can't fill your day with new good things if your mind is still full of old bad things. Empty the trash first, every single morning. If this hit you, drop this below. Yesterday is trash, today is fresh. Number 2. Check your foundation first. You wake up and immediately start piling things on. Tasks, responsibilities, commitments, goals, expectations. You stack them higher and higher without ever asking one simple question. Can I actually carry all of this today? Then by noon, you're overwhelmed. By evening, you're exhausted. And you think something's wrong with you. But nothing's wrong with you. You just tried to carry more than your foundation could support. Epictetus taught something that sounds obvious, but almost nobody does. First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. In other words, know what you're actually capable of before you promise to do everything. Know your foundation before you start building on it. Think about construction. Before you build a house, you check the foundation, you test the ground, you make sure it can support the weight you're about to put on it. If you don't, the whole thing collapses. Your mind works exactly the same way. Some days your foundation is solid, you slept well, you feel good, your mind is clear, you can handle more. Other days your foundation is weak, you're tired, you're stressed, you're already carrying damage from yesterday, you can't handle as much. And that's not weakness, that's reality. But here's what most people do. They ignore the foundation. They promise to do 10 things when they can realistically do 3. They say yes to everything when they should be saying no to most things. They overload a weak foundation and then feel like failures when it cracks. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but even he had to check his foundation every morning. He'd write in his journal about what he could realistically handle that day, not what he wished he could handle, what he actually could. And on the days when his foundation was weak, he'd adjust. He'd carry less. He'd focus on what mattered most and let the rest wait. Here's your second repair. Every morning, before you look at your to-do list, before you check your emails, before you commit to anything, ask yourself honestly, what can I realistically handle today? Not what would make you look productive, not what would impress other people, not what you think you should be able to handle. What you can actually carry without collapsing. Maybe it's one big task. Maybe it's 3 small ones. Maybe today is a maintenance day where you just keep things from falling apart. That's okay. Better to do less well than to do everything badly and hate yourself by the end of the day. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They just knew their limits and respected them. They built only what their foundation could support. And when the foundation was weak, they didn't pretend it was strong. They adjusted. Check your foundation first. Then decide what to build on it, not the other way around. Number 3. Fix small problems before they get big. There's a small worry in the back of your mind. Nothing major, just a little thing. A conversation you need to have, a bill you need to pay, a decision you need to make. It's small, so you ignore it. You'll deal with it later. You'll handle it when you have time. You'll get to it eventually. Then days pass. That small worry grows. It gets louder. It starts taking up more space in your head. Now it's not just a small thing. It's a constant background noise, and you're still ignoring it. Until one day, it's not small anymore. It's massive. It's overwhelming. And now you're drowning in something that could have been fixed in 5 minutes if you'd dealt with it when it first appeared. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not because the past and future don't matter, but because right now is where you have power. Right now is when problems are still small enough to fix. Think about a crack in a wall. When it first appears, it's tiny. You can seal it in seconds. But if you ignore it, water gets in. The crack spreads. It gets deeper. It gets wider. Eventually, the entire wall collapses. And fixing a collapsed wall is 1,000 times harder than sealing a small crack. Your mind works the same way. A small worry is a crack. A small fear is a crack. A small doubt is a crack. And if you catch it early, it's easy to fix. But if you ignore it, it spreads. It grows. It becomes structural damage. Here's what most people do. They wait until problems are huge before they deal with them. They avoid the small, uncomfortable conversation until it becomes a massive conflict. They ignore the small financial issue until it becomes a crisis. They dismiss the small health concern until it becomes an emergency. And then they wonder why their life feels like it's always on fire. The Stoics didn't wait. When they noticed something wrong, they fixed it immediately. Not because they were brave, because they were smart. They knew that small problems fixed early stay small. Small problems ignored become big disasters. Here's your third repair. Every morning, identify one small problem. One thing that's starting to worry you. One thing you've been avoiding. One thing that's creating a crack in your mind. Then fix it today. Not this week. Today. Make the phone call you've been putting off. Send the text you've been avoiding. Pay the bill that's been sitting there. Have the conversation that's been making you anxious. Whatever it is, deal with it while it's still small. Don't wait for problems to get big. Big problems require big solutions. Small problems require small actions. And you have time for small actions right now. Number 4. Get rid of what's hurting you. There's something in your life that's slowly poisoning you. You know exactly what it is. Maybe it's a toxic person who drains your energy every time you talk to them. Maybe it's a bad habit that's destroying your health. Maybe it's a job that's killing your soul. Maybe it's a lie you keep telling yourself. You know what it is. And you're keeping it anyway. Why? Because removing it is uncomfortable. Because it's familiar. Because you're scared of what life looks like without it. So, you hold on to the thing that's hurting you and wonder why you feel worse every day. Seneca was one of the richest men in Rome. He had wealth, power, influence. But he knew something most people don't understand. Anything you can't let go of owns you. So, he practiced voluntary poverty. He'd give away his possessions. He'd live simply. Not because he hated wealth, but because he refused to be controlled by it. He removed what could poison him before it did. Think about poison in your body. If you swallow poison, you don't keep it inside and hope it gets better. You get it out immediately. You do whatever it takes to remove it, because you know it will kill you if you don't. But with mental and emotional poison, people do the opposite. They know something is toxic, and they keep it anyway. That friendship that makes you feel small every time you see them. Poison. That habit of scrolling through social media comparing yourself to others. Poison. That relationship where you're constantly anxious and walking on eggshells. Poison. That belief that you're not good enough. Poison. You know it's hurting you, and you're still holding on. Here's what the Stoics understood. Sometimes removal is the only solution. You can't fix poison. You can't negotiate with toxicity. You can't make something healthy that's fundamentally destructive. You can only remove it. Epictetus said it plainly. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Part of what's in your power is deciding what gets access to your life, what gets space in your mind, what gets to influence your emotions. And when something is poisoning you, removing it is absolutely in your power. Here's your 4th repair. Identify one thing in your life that's slowly poisoning you. Be honest. You know what it is. Then make a plan to remove it. Not someday. This week. Maybe you can't remove it instantly. Maybe it takes planning. That's okay. But start the removal process today. Set the boundary. Have the conversation. Make the change. Begin the detox. You can't heal while you're still consuming poison. And you can't build a strong mind while toxic things are rotting it from the inside. Get rid of what's hurting you, even if it's hard, even if it's scary, even if part of you wants to keep it. Your mental health is worth more than your comfort. Let me see this affirmation below. I remove what's poisoning me. Number 5. Decide what you won't break. You compromise on everything, and that's why nothing in your life feels solid. Someone asks you to do something that violates your values, and you do it anyway because saying no is uncomfortable. You set a boundary, but then you let people cross it because you don't want conflict. You make a promise to yourself, but you break it the moment it gets difficult. You bend on everything. And when everything bends, everything breaks. Cato the Younger understood something most people never learn. Some things must be unbreakable or nothing matters. He had principles that were non-negotiable, not because he was rigid, but because he knew that if he compromised on what mattered most, he'd end up compromising on everything. When Julius Caesar offered to spare his life if he'd just accept Caesar's rule, Cato refused. He chose death over compromise. That sounds extreme until you understand what he was protecting: his integrity. The one thing that, if lost, meant nothing else mattered. He'd rather die with his principles intact than live without them. You're not going to face that kind of choice, but you face smaller versions every single day. And every time you compromise on what you said was important, you're training yourself that nothing is actually important. You're teaching yourself that your word means nothing, that your boundaries are suggestions, that your values are negotiable. Think about a building. It has load-bearing walls. These walls hold everything up. If they crack, the entire structure collapses. You can renovate other walls. You can change the paint. You can move furniture. But the load-bearing walls must stay solid, or the whole building falls. Your principles are your load-bearing walls. They're what holds everything else up. Your self-respect, your relationships, your sense of purpose, your mental health. All of it depends on those core principles staying solid. And every time you compromise them, you're cracking a load-bearing wall. Here's your fifth repair. Every morning, decide on 3 things you absolutely will not compromise on today. Not guidelines, not goals, non-negotiables. Maybe it's, I will not lie, even if the truth is uncomfortable. Maybe it's, I will not skip my workout, no matter how I feel. Maybe it's, I will not let people disrespect me, even if it creates conflict. Whatever they are, write them down. Say them out loud. Make them real. Then when the day tests you, and it will test you, you already know the answer. You already decided. There's no negotiation. There's no just this once. The wall doesn't bend. Marcus Aurelius had one simple rule that guided everything. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. He didn't debate principles. He lived them unbreakably. Decide what you won't break. Then don't break it. Not today. Not ever. Number 6. Let the pressure out. You're holding everything inside. The stress, the anger, the fear, the truth you're too scared to say, the feelings you're too proud to admit. You're sealing it all in, thinking that's strength, thinking that's control. But it's not. It's a pressure cooker, and pressure cookers explode. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the world. He had to appear strong, composed, in control at all times. But he knew something crucial. If you don't release pressure, it will destroy you from the inside. So, every morning, he wrote in his journal, brutal truths, real fears, honest struggles. He gave the pressure a way out before it tore him apart. Think about a sealed container. Put heat and pressure inside it with no release valve, and eventually it bursts. The container doesn't get stronger by holding more pressure. It gets destroyed by it. Your mind works the same way. That argument you need to have but keep avoiding. Pressure building. That emotion you're suppressing because you think showing it makes you weak. Pressure building. That truth you're hiding because you're afraid of how people will react. Pressure building. Every day you hold it in, the pressure increases. And one day, something small will happen and you'll explode over something that doesn't even matter because you've been holding in everything that does. Here's what most people believe. If I just hold it together, the pressure will go away on its own. It won't. Pressure doesn't disappear. It either gets released in a controlled way or it explodes in a destructive way. Those are your only 2 options. Epictetus taught his students something uncomfortable. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. You know what that means in practice? Say the uncomfortable thing. Admit the truth, even if it makes you look weak. Let the pressure out, even if it's not pretty, because holding it in to look strong actually makes you weak. Here's your 6th repair. Every morning, Release one piece of pressure. Say one uncomfortable truth, either to yourself or to someone else. Maybe it's admitting, "I'm overwhelmed and I need help." Maybe it's telling someone, "What you said yesterday hurt me." Maybe it's confessing to yourself, "I'm scared and I don't know what I'm doing." Maybe it's having the conversation you've been avoiding for weeks. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be honest. You're not looking for a solution. You're not trying to fix everything. You're just letting some pressure out so it doesn't build to the point of explosion. Strong people don't hold everything in. Strong people know when to release pressure before it destroys them. There's a massive difference between emotional control and emotional suppression. One keeps you stable, the other keeps you on the edge of collapse. Let the pressure out, not because you're weak, because you're smart enough to know what happens when you don't. Number 7. Have a backup plan. You're living like nothing will ever go wrong. And that's why when something does go wrong, you completely fall apart. You have one plan, one path, one expectation, and you're emotionally invested in everything working out exactly the way you want it to. Then reality shows up. The plan fails, the path closes, the expectation shatters, and you have nothing, no backup, no alternative, no idea what to do next. So, you panic. The Stoics practiced something every morning that most people think is negative, but is actually the smartest thing you can do. They imagined things going wrong, not to torture themselves, to prepare themselves. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. And it gave them something most people never have, a backup plan before they needed one. Seneca would wake up and think, "What if I lose my wealth today? What would I do? How would I respond? What if my friends betray me? What if my health fails? What if my plans collapse?" He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being strategic, because when those things actually happened, and they did, he didn't fall apart. He already knew what to do. Think about a building with no emergency exits. Everything's fine until there's a fire. Then people die because there's no way out. Your life is the same. Everything feels fine until something goes wrong. And if you have no backup plan, no emergency exit, no alternative path, you're trapped. Here's what unprepared people do when things go wrong. They freeze, they panic, they make terrible decisions because they're operating in crisis mode with no plan. Meanwhile, prepared people stay calm, not because they're better people, because they already thought through this scenario. They already know their next move. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, plagues, betrayals, and constant crises. But he wrote something powerful. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Part of that power is preparing your mind for what could happen before it does. Here's your 7th repair. Every morning, think of one thing that could go wrong today. Just one. Then spend 30 seconds deciding what you'd do if it happened. What if the meeting goes badly? Already know how you'll respond. What if you don't get the answer you want? Already have plan B ready. What if someone says no? Already know what you'll do next. What if you fail? Already know how you'll recover. You're not manifesting problems. You're removing panic from the equation. Because when things go wrong, and they will, you won't have to figure out what to do while you're drowning. You'll already know. Backup plans aren't pessimistic, they're smart. And they're the difference between people who survive crises and people who get destroyed by them. Number 8. Clear the junk first. Your phone is on your nightstand. Your alarm goes off. And before your eyes are fully open, before you've taken a full breath, before you've had a single thought of your own, your hand reaches for it. And in that moment, you've lost the day. Within seconds, your mind is flooded. Emails, Messages, news, other people's opinions, other people's problems, other people's emergencies. Your brain, which was fresh and clear 30 seconds ago, is now cluttered with information that has nothing to do with what you need to do today. The Stoics were obsessed with protecting their mornings, not because they were antisocial, because they understood something most people ignore. The first thoughts that enter your mind set the tone for everything that follows. Let garbage in first, and your whole day runs on garbage. Epictetus taught in a simple school with almost nothing in it. No luxuries, no distractions, no clutter, just the essential tools for learning. Why? Because he knew that a cluttered environment creates a cluttered mind, and a cluttered mind can't think clearly. Think about trying to work in a room filled with trash, papers everywhere, junk piled up, stuff covering every surface. You can't focus, you can't think, you can't create. Not because you're incapable, but because the environment is chaotic. Your mind works the same way. When you check your phone first thing, you're dumping trash into a clean space. You're cluttering your mind before you've had a chance to use it. That email stresses you out. That news article makes you angry. That social media post makes you feel inadequate. And now you're starting your day from a place of stress, anger, and inadequacy. Not because anything actually happened to you, because you voluntarily consumed other people's chaos. Here's what most people don't realize. You don't have to let the world into your head. You have a choice. You can protect your morning mind, keep it clear, and use it for what actually matters to you. Or you can hand it over to whoever screams the loudest on your phone. Here's your 8th repair. The first 30 minutes you're awake, nothing external gets access to your mind. No phone, no news, no social media, no emails, no other people's voices, just you. This will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will tell you you're missing something important. You're not. What you're actually doing is giving yourself 30 minutes where your thoughts are your own, where your mind is clear, where you can actually think instead of just reacting. Use those 30 minutes however you want. Sit in silence. Think. Plan your day. Read something meaningful. Move your body. It doesn't matter what you do as long as it's intentional and it's yours. The world will get access to your mind eventually, but not first. Not when your mind is at its clearest and most powerful. That time belongs to you. Type this declaration below. I protect my morning from noise. Number 9. Put good stuff in your head. You wouldn't eat garbage for breakfast and expect your body to perform well. So why do you feed your mind garbage and expect it to be healthy? The first thing you consume mentally sets the tone for how your mind operates all day. Feed it negativity and you'll think negatively. Feed it outrage and you'll be angry. Feed it comparison and you'll feel inadequate. Feed it fear and you'll be anxious. Your mind becomes what you feed it. Marcus Aurelius was incredibly careful about what he allowed into his mind. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He wasn't being poetic. He was being literal. Whatever you consume mentally colors everything else you think about afterward. Think about a water filter. Put clean water through it, and clean water comes out. Put contaminated water through it, and contamination comes out. Your mind is the same. The quality of what goes in determines the quality of what comes out. Input affects output, always. Here's what most people do. They start their day with junk, scrolling through social media, seeing everyone else's highlight reel, reading news designed to make them afraid and angry, consuming content that's entertaining but empty. And then they wonder why they feel scattered, anxious, and unmotivated. It's not a mystery. Garbage in, garbage out. The Stoics didn't waste their mental energy on useless information. Seneca would read philosophy every morning. Marcus Aurelius would reflect on Stoic principles before dealing with the chaos of ruling Rome. Epictetus would focus on teachings that made him stronger, not weaker. They were strategic about what they allowed into their minds because they knew it mattered. Here's your 9th repair. The first thing you read, listen to, or watch each morning must be something that makes you better, not just entertained. Better. Maybe it's reading something philosophical. Maybe it's listening to something educational. Maybe it's watching something that inspires you to grow. The specific content doesn't matter as much as the intention. You're feeding your mind quality instead of junk. This doesn't mean everything you consume has to be serious and heavy. It just means that the first input, the first food your mind gets, should be nutritious. You can have junk food later if you want, but don't start with it. Your mind will crave the junk at first. That's normal. It's been trained to expect it. But the more you feed it quality, the more it will start craving quality instead. You take care of your body by being careful about what you eat. Take care of your mind by being just as careful about what you consume mentally. Quality input creates quality thinking. Junk input creates junk thinking. It's that simple. Share this commitment in the comments. I feed my mind quality, not junk. Number 10. Test yourself on purpose. You avoid discomfort. You eliminate challenges. You take the easy path whenever it's available, and you wonder why you feel weak. Here's the truth. You don't know what you're capable of because you never test yourself. You stay inside your comfort zone, convincing yourself you're strong, but you have no proof, no evidence, no real test. And the moment life forces discomfort on you, you collapse because you've never practiced handling it. Musonius Rufus, one of the great Stoic teachers, had a philosophy that sounds crazy to modern people. He believed you should intentionally make your life harder, not because suffering is good, but because practicing discomfort prepares you for when discomfort is forced on you. He'd fast when he had food. He'd sleep on hard surfaces when he had a bed. He'd endure cold when he had warmth. Why? Training. Think about athletes. They don't wait until game day to find out if they're strong enough. They train. They push themselves. They test their limits in practice so they know what they can handle when it matters. Your mind works the same way. If you never test it, you have no idea if it's actually strong or just untested. Here's what untested strength looks like. Everything's fine until something hard happens. Then you break. Not because you're weak, but because you never practiced being strong. You never built the mental muscle. You never tested yourself under pressure. So when pressure arrives, you have nothing to draw from. The Stoics understood something modern comfort culture has forgotten. Comfort makes you weak. Not a little weak, dangerously weak. Every day you choose the easy path, you're training yourself to be someone who can't handle the hard path. And life doesn't care about your preference. It will give you hard whether you're ready or not. Here's your 10th repair. Every morning, do one thing that's uncomfortable on purpose. Not because you enjoy it, but because you're testing yourself. Take a cold shower even though warm is available. Do a hard workout even though you could skip it. Have a difficult conversation even though you could avoid it. Sit in silence even though you could distract yourself. Choose the harder option even though the easier one is right there. It doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to be harder than what you'd normally choose. You're not punishing yourself. You're training yourself. You're proving to your mind that discomfort doesn't equal danger, that you can handle hard things, that when life tests you, you'll be ready. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show what men are made of." But here's the key. If you never face difficulty intentionally, you won't know what you're made of until it's too late. Test yourself before life tests you. Build strength in practice so you have it when it matters. Number 11. Check for damage daily. You ignore small problems until they become massive disasters, and then you act surprised when everything falls apart. A small crack appears in your mental health, a little stress, a bit of anxiety, a moment of doubt. It's small, so you ignore it. You'll deal with it later. Then days pass. The crack spreads, the stress builds, the anxiety grows, the doubt becomes constant, and you're still ignoring it. Until one day, you're not dealing with a crack anymore. You're dealing with a collapse. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but every single day he checked in with himself. He'd write in his journal. He'd examine his thoughts. He'd assess his mental state. Not because he was weak or insecure, because he knew that small damage caught early is easy to fix. Small damage ignored becomes catastrophic. Think about a car. You don't drive it for years without checking the oil, the tires, the engine. You do regular maintenance because you know that small issues ignored become expensive repairs. Your mind needs the same maintenance. But most people never check. They just keep driving until the engine blows. Here's what people do instead of maintenance. They wait for crisis. They ignore every warning sign, every small problem, every early symptom. Then, when they're completely broken down, they finally pay attention. And fixing a complete breakdown is 1,000 times harder than maintaining along the way. The Stoics practiced daily self-examination, not to judge themselves, not to beat themselves up, to catch problems early. Seneca would review his day every evening, asking, "What did I do well? What did I do poorly? What needs to change?" He was doing maintenance. Here's your 11th repair. At the end of your morning, before you fully step into your day, do a quick check-in. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I repair this morning? Look at what you've fixed, what damage you've addressed, what you've improved. What's starting to crack? Look for early warning signs, small stress, growing worry, beginning doubt. Catch it now while it's small. What needs attention today? Identify one thing that needs maintenance, one area that's weakening, one problem that's developing. This takes 2 minutes, maybe less. But those 2 minutes can prevent a breakdown that takes months to recover from. Because when you catch damage early, repair is simple. When you ignore it until it's massive, repair is overwhelming. Most people only pay attention to their mental health when it's in crisis. That's like only paying attention to your car when it breaks down on the highway. By then, you're stranded, you're stuck, you're in emergency mode. Do maintenance, check for damage, catch problems early. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're smart. Number 12, build something that lasts. Everything you're doing right now is temporary. The email you're stressed about won't matter next week. The meeting you're worried about will be forgotten in a month. The problem that feels massive today will be irrelevant in a year. You're spending your entire life on things that don't last, and that's why you feel empty. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He was the most powerful man in the world, but he knew that his power was temporary. His empire would fade, his decisions would be forgotten, his name would eventually mean nothing. So he focused on one thing that could last, his thoughts. He wrote them down every morning, not for publication, not for fame, for permanence. And 2,000 years later, his words still help people. That's what lasts. Think about your typical morning. You wake up, you react to emails, you deal with other people's problems, you put out fires, you handle emergencies. And by the end of the day, what do you have? Nothing permanent, nothing that builds, nothing that lasts beyond today. You spent your energy, but you built nothing. Here's what the Stoics knew that most people forget. Temporary work feels empty because it is empty. You can work hard on temporary things your entire life and die with nothing to show for it. But permanent work, work that builds something lasting, gives your life weight, meaning, legacy. Seneca wrote letters that people still read today. Epictetus taught lessons that still guide people centuries later. Marcus wrote reflections that still strengthen minds 2 millennia afterward. They built things that outlasted their bodies, their empires, their era. That's what matters. You don't have to write philosophy. You don't have to create something famous. But you do have to create something that lasts longer than today. Something that builds. Something that matters beyond this morning's to-do list. Here's your 12th repair. Every morning, do one thing that creates something permanent. Not just consumption, not just reaction. Creation. Maybe you write something, even one paragraph, even a journal entry that helps you think clearly. Maybe you teach someone something valuable that they'll carry with them. Maybe you build a skill that compounds over time. Maybe you create something with your hands that will exist after today. Maybe you help someone in a way that changes their trajectory. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be permanent. Something that if you did it every morning for a year, would result in something real. Something built. Something lasting. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Your life is your philosophy, and if your life is spent entirely on temporary things, your philosophy is that nothing matters. But if you build something permanent every single day, your philosophy becomes, I was here, I mattered, I built something that lasts." Tomorrow morning, before you dive into temporary tasks and urgent emails, ask yourself, what am I building today that will still exist next year? Then build that first. Leave this legacy statement below. I build something lasting every day. Your mind breaks a little every day. That's not a flaw. That's reality. Life damages you. Stress cracks you. Worry wears you down. Failure leaves marks. That's just what happens when you're alive and trying. The difference between people who thrive and people who barely survive isn't that thriving. People don't get damaged. It's that they repair the damage every single morning before it piles up, before it becomes too much, before they collapse under the weight of unaddressed problems. These 12 repairs are simple, not easy, but simple. Throw out yesterday's trash, check your foundation, fix small problems early, remove what's poisoning you, decide what you won't compromise, let pressure out, have backup plans, clear the junk first, feed your mind quality, test yourself on purpose, check for damage daily, build something permanent. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They faced the same damage you face, maybe worse. Wars, slavery, exile, betrayal, death. But they understood something most people never learn. You either repair your mind every morning or you let it crumble. You don't have to do all 12 tomorrow. Start with 3, the 3 that hit hardest, the 3 your mind needs most. Master those. Then add more when you're ready. Your mind is worth repairing. You are worth the effort. And every morning is a chance to fix what's broken before it breaks you. If this video helped, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment with which repair you need most. Share this with someone whose mind is breaking. Subscribe, because we're here to build you up, not just entertain you. Marcus Aurelius wrote every morning because he knew you have power over your mind, not outside events. Use that power. Repair your mind. Build yourself stronger. Tomorrow morning, start the repairs. Your mind is waiting. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I fix my mind every single morning.